This page is the front cover of Dreamcast Magazine, Volume 13, from April 16, 1999. The main highlight is Soul Calibur, featuring a direct interview with the developers at Namco. The cover also promotes Professional Baseball Team de Asobu and Professional Baseball Team 2000. There's a section on super speed racing games, including Blue Stinger, The House of the Dead 2, Sega Rally 2, White Illumination, and Romance of the Three Kingdoms 6th games. The latest image experience from the Tokyo Game Show is Shenmue. Other games mentioned are Redline Racer and Digital Horse Racing News, Might Trackman. Sega Saturn games are also briefly listed as Derby Stallion, Dungeons & Dragons Collection, and KISS. This page appears to be an advertisement or announcement focused on a large monetary prize. The page features the Japanese phrase components, you, me, ta, and congratulations is likely the intended word. It also shows 100 million yen currency, suggesting a substantial amount of money is being advertised or given away. This page is an advertisement for a Dreamcast campaign called Yumegawa Gen Senmu's Treasure Hunt, with a prize of 100 million yen. The campaign runs until April 11, 1999, and involves using the Dreamcast's network features to find treasure in a special software. Participants can win 10,000 yen for correctly answering and entering online. It is a promotional campaign to highlight Dreamcast network capabilities. This page is the contents page for Dreamcast Magazine, dated April 16, 1999. It lists the articles and features in this issue, starting with a Dreamcast special feature focusing on upcoming games and an interview with the development team at Namco about Soul Calibur. Other highlighted games include New Pro Baseball Team, Let's Play, and Create a Pro Baseball Team. Shenmue, Dreamcast hot information with details on new game releases, Redline Racer and Digital Horse Racing News, My Trackman. The Dreamcast Soft Complete Guide section features strategy information for a variety of games including Key to E, White Illumination, Super Speed Racing, The House of the Dead 2, Blue Stinger, Sega Rally 2, Aero Dancing featuring Blue Impulse, Get Bass, Sengokushi VI, Nobunaga's Ambition, Sushiryoku Kessen with Power-Up Kit, Evolution, Eternal Dungeons, and Marvel vs. Capcom, Clash of Superheroes. This page is the game index of the magazine, listing titles for both Dreamcast and Sega Saturn consoles. For Dreamcast, it features Aero Dancing featuring Blue Impulse, White Illumination, Get Bass, House of the Dead 2, Romance of the Three Kingdoms 6, Shenmue, Seaman, Evolution, The World of Sacred Device, Super Speed Racing, Sega Rally 2, Soul Calibur, Sonic Adventure, a horse racing game called Digital Horse Racing Newspaper, My Truckman, Nobunaga's Ambition, Lord of Darkness Power-Up Kit, Puyo Puyo 4, Blue Stinger, 2 professional baseball games, Let's Play Professional Baseball Team, and Let's Make a Professional Baseball Team, Marvel vs. Capcom, Clash of Superheroes, and Redline Racer. Sega Saturn titles mentioned are from Kiss, Derby Stallion, Dungeons & Dragons Collection, Friends, The Radiance of Youth, and Ryoko's Chat Room. There are also sections listed covering Dreamcast peripherals, coming soon software, complete game guides, and magazine data stations. This page reports on a K1 Japan kickboxing event called K1 The Challenge 99, held on March 22 in Tokyo, which was sponsored by Sega Dreamcast. Sega's branding is prominently displayed on the ring and banners, including the Dreamcast logo. The article mentions that Sega is participating as a sponsor, and the event was held with a large audience. The page lists the results of 7 matches from the event. Sam Greco vs. Samir Benazuz, John Wyatt vs. Takehiro Ito, Peter Kramer vs. Takeshi Kasuya, Duncan Jamar vs. Hiroki Yasumoto, Dewey Cooper vs. Musashi, Greg Hott vs. Masaki Miyamoto, Peter Averts vs. Jim Mullen. The main event was Peter Averts winning by knockout. The article highlights Musashi and Nakasaka winning their matches in the second round by KO. It also mentions that 5 matches were team battles between Japan and foreign fighters. The presenter for the event was Yukawa Genki. This magazine update covers Dreamcast and related news. The news section announces Mebius will release Panasonic Wonder Entertainment's Yochimu o Miru Neko, a web mystery game, after a publisher change, along with a mention of the WonderSwan game Gogaku o Tango. Goods celebrates the 5th anniversary of Tokimeki Memorial with the release of Tokimeki Memorial Series Volume 3, Tabidachi no Uta, and merchandise like a wrist game and a watch. The event section features a Canapan stage event at a toy show promoting Cho Hatsume Bioi Canapan and a Joyopolis attraction, Detective Conan Yukawa Gen Senmu murder case, connected to the Dreamcast game. Finally, Beamamani is highlighted with the release of the Beatmania Pocket 2" keychain game and upcoming keychain games for Poppin' Music and Dance Dance Revolution. This page highlights several announcements and events. Firstly, there is a presentation for the Sakura Wars musical show 2 Tsubasa, featuring production photo diaries from Hiroi Oji. This is a book documenting the making of the musical, offered as a present. Next, there's an event celebrating the 20th anniversary of Mobile Suit Gundam, called Gundam Convention, taking place on April 4th from 9 o'clock to 1700 at Tokyo Big Sight in Ariake. Various manufacturers including Bandai will be participating, selling original goods and hosting stage events. The first Gundam movie will also be screened. Then, there's an announcement of a 1/350th scale figure of Iris from Camera 3, referring to Iris Chateaubriand from Sakura Wars 3. This figure is available for 9,800 yen from late March, capturing her appearance as evil god Iris, with detailed sculpting and flexible antennae. Another presentation announces the 1998 theatrical anime, Spriggan, coming to DVD and Laserdisc. The DVD and LD are being released by Bandai Visual, and come with a Spriggan keyholder, for 7,800 yen each. Finally, there's news that Sega Kara songs are becoming available as ringtones for mobile phones, starting in April via Keitai Melody Kobo. This service allows users to register about 15,000 songs as ringtones, and is compatible with current mobile phone models and PHS devices. In the topics section, it mentions that former Sega managing director Yukawa and 5 others are appearing in a commercial film, encountering Avex's managing director. This is a commercial for Tokyo Pudding. This page highlights a few events and music releases. First, there's an event called PC Game Character Gathering, happening during Golden Week at Tokyo Big Sight on May 4, 1999. This event focuses on PC games and includes voice actor appearances, demos of new games, merchandise sales, and a cosplay contest. Next is the Emotion Festival 99 event, featuring voice actress Tomoko Kawakami, known for her roles as Utena in Revolutionary Girl Utena and Ayame in Power Stone. This event will be held in Nagoya and Tokyo on April 17th and 18th respectively, offering opportunities to meet Kawakami. A comic book adaptation of the popular game Kyukyoku Ukoku Ensemble is also being advertised. This 68-page comic is an anthology featuring short comics, story introductions, and OP information. The page also lists several music releases including Piece of Love by Shazna, a single linked to the anime Kishin Duji Zenki, Zero by Ken Morioka, a hardcore techno single, Defroster Rocking by Yoking, a soulful rock album, Interior by Hideyuki Sakuragi, a pop album, Untitled by Einsveer, a best album, Tampopo 1 by YANPOPO, the debut album of Morning Musume, the original soundtrack for the music game Poppin' Music, and Zuntata History Lab Normal First, a compilation album from Taito's sound team ZUNT. The Dreamcast Weekly Bestseller Ranking Top 10 features a diverse range of titles. Adventure game Kita E. White Illumination. 1. With appealing character design targets female users. Yukawa Moto Senmu no Osagashi Mono. 2. A Japanese exclusive treasure hunt, offers a grand prize. Sega Rally 2". 3. A racing game, maintains steady sales. Action game, Power Stone. 4. Fuels sequel expectations. Psychic Force 2012. 5. A fighting game, has reached over 50,000 units sold, but growth may slow. Puzzle game, Puyo Puyon. 6. Attracts fans and newcomers. Aero Dancing featuring Blue Impulse. 7. A flight sim, encourages players to become squadron leaders, with the release of its strategy guide. Monaco Grand Prix Racing Simulation 2". 8. Emphasizes machine settings. Poppin' Music. 9. Encourages players to showcase their skills. Finally, action game, Sonic Adventure. 10. Hints at hidden secrets. This article presents a top 30 ranking of anticipated Dreamcast games, based on reader votes. Shenmue leads the pack with 674 points, followed by Grandia 2 and Resident Evil Code Veronica. The list includes release dates and details for a variety of games, such as Soul Calibur, Maduki X, Virtual-On Oratorio Tangram, and The King of Fighters Dream Match 1999. Other notable titles include Dynamite Decade 2, Kido Senshi Gundam Gaiden, Street Fighter 03, J-League Pro Soccer Club, Wotsukuru, and Climax Landers, among many others. The weekly pickup section highlights Troya, an adventure game based on the TV show Sakai Fushigi Haken. This page showcases two main rankings from Dreamcast Magazine. The first is a Transplant Hope Top 20 ranking, showing the games readers most want to see ported to the Dreamcast. Number 1 is Sakura Wars series, followed by Rente Hero and Final Fantasy series. Metal Gear Solid is also on the list. The second ranking is the Video Game Income Ranking Top 15, listing the top-earning arcade games. Virtua Striker 2, Ver 99, and Virtua Fighter 3 TB top this chart. Below these rankings is a weekly pickup section focusing on Zombie Revenge and Crazy Taxi. Zombie Revenge is described as a zombie game from Sega AM1, recommended for zombie fans, and is action-oriented, utilizing Naomi arcade hardware. Crazy Taxi is also highlighted as a Naomi arcade game, a driving game set in an American West Coast-style city, emphasizing a fun and liberating taxi driving experience. The article promises tips on how to drive cool in Crazy Taxi. Screenshots from both games are included. This page is a release schedule for Dreamcast software and hardware peripherals. The page starts with a table explaining the symbols used for game genres, such as ACT for action, RPG for role-playing, and SLG for simulation, also explaining controller types and online compatibility. Moving on to the software releases. It lists titles coming out from April to December 1999 and beyond. Some notable games mentioned include Digital Horse Racing Newspaper, My Trackman, Web Mystery Prophecies Looking Cat, Elemental Gimmick Gear, Dynamite Cop 2, which is known internationally as Dynamite Cop, Super Producers, Aiming for the Showbiz World, Shenmue Chapter 1, Yokosuka, Espionagents, Panoram Cotton 2, VJ Monster, and Soul Calibur. The hardware section lists peripherals like the ASC2 Mission Stick and a fishing controller that were released or planned for release around the same time. Finally, the page mentions other related products, specifically tying items for the game Super Invention BOY Canapan, and a visual memory game related to Giant Graham. This page is from the Dreamcast Readers Race Weekly section and showcases the Dreamcast software rankings based on reader votes. Topping the charts is Sega 2, followed by Sonic Adventure and Real Sound, Wind Regret. Other high-ranking games include Aero Dancing featuring Blue Impulse, Sokozoko Active Commentary Pro Baseball 2000, Pop-In Music, Colony Wars, Vengeance, Virtua Fighter 3 TB, Psychic Force 2012, and JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Featured as a newcomer in the rankings is Kita E, White Illumination. The review praises the game for its engaging story focusing on female characters, appealing scenario, and sightseeing travel mood. It notes the protagonist's unique slang and the pleasant music. The reviewer found the CBS game system somewhat incomplete, suggesting it needs clearer breakpoints in conversations. They also commented on the high quality of the real-life backgrounds and full voice acting on a single disc, highlighting the Dreamcast's capabilities. Finally, there's a preview section announcing upcoming Dreamcast titles. These include Yugen Kaisha Chikyu Buitai Special, Marvel vs. Capcom, Clash of Superheroes, Sangokushi VI, Nobunaga's Ambition, Lord of Darkness with Power-Up Kit, The House of the Dead 2, Super Speed Racing, Blue Stinger, and Get Bass. It's mentioned that these are titles expected to be released soon, and fans should vote for their favorites. This page features updates on release titles and reader participation events. There is a review for the adventure game Real Sound, Wind Regret, noting it's in third place in rankings and praising its use of imagination in gameplay, even without visual mode or vibration pack. A Dreamcast peripherals ranking chart is presented, listing items based on user vote averages, with the Dreamcast VGA box at number 2 and the vibration pack Puru Puru pack at number 1. The Dreamhorse Owner's Voices section shares player feedback. One comment mentions the next Pop-In Music game will be rock music focused. Another talks about discovering a game called Tetris K, wondering what the K stands for. A final comment is about The House of the Dead 2 having a zombie-filled special mode. The page also announces a reader competition called Reader Race, where participants predict the ranking of a specified Dreamcast game. The current game for prediction is Get Bass. Prizes include a Dreamcast arcade stick and visual memory set and software. Another past prediction game mentioned is Morita's Strongest Reversi. The application deadline is April 8th. This special report from the Tokyo Game Show focuses on Namco's Soul Calibur for the Dreamcast. The article emphasizes the game's high quality and importance to Namco's Dreamcast strategy. 2 Q&A sessions with developer Hiroaki Yotoriyama reveal the game's bonus content and Dreamcast-specific features. Bonus content ideas include minigames like Iron Fist Ball and Volleyball, reflecting Namco's exploration of fun extras. User feedback is being considered. Dreamcast-specific elements being explored include online battles and VMU functionality, with art creation mentioned as a possibility. The report highlights key features such as 3D weapon-based combat, planned peripheral support, and Namco's summer release target. The game was 30% complete at the time of the report. This page is a team-exclusive coverage article for the Dreamcast version of Soul Calibur. It highlights an interview with the development team from Namco, who expressed their high spirits and commitment to making Soul Calibur the ultimate title on the Dreamcast. The interview discusses player reactions from the Tokyo Game Show and how the development team is motivated by the positive reception. Screenshots feature characters Mitsurugi and Sophitia in action. The article also mentions the game was playable at TGS, and that the version shown was still in development and a temporary build. The team is taking player feedback seriously and is aiming to create an exceptional game that utilizes the full potential of the Dreamcast hardware. They state that the team is highly motivated to make Soul Calibur a killer title for the Dreamcast. The next page focuses on Soul Calibur for Dreamcast, confirming that the demo shown at Tokyo Game Show (TGS) was actual gameplay and not just a pre-rendered movie, highlighting the high visual quality. It mentions a developer interview section, where Satoru-sen discusses rival games, humorously mentioning Seaman as a possible competitor, but emphasizes the team's high motivation and focus on making Soul Calibur a truly impressive game exceeding previous console versions. They are aiming to make it more accessible to beginners and are adding new elements. Another section of the page is a Q&A about sound and visual effects. Satoru-sen mentions improvements to sound quality and effects in the Dreamcast version. For example, in the corridor to the Sanctuary stage, characters will exhale white breath in the cold environment. They are also improving the character selection screen, including second-player color options, going beyond arcade quality. The background visuals and overall presentation are being enhanced. The concept for the Dreamcast Soul Calibur is wind, and they aim to show something more than just enhanced graphics. There are screenshots of Sophitia and Mitsurugi showcasing the game. The page also mentions the arcade version of Soul Calibur is performing well and encourages players to try the Dreamcast version, especially those who enjoy using Maxi. This page focuses on an interview about the Dreamcast version of Soul Calibur. The interview highlights the developers' commitment to motion, stating it's their #1 focus, and they're obsessed with getting it right, aiming for smooth and responsive controls. Setoyama from the development team discusses how they are refining the motion capture and animation to ensure the game feels good to play and looks visually impressive. The interview mentions that weapon-based fighting games are still evolving, and they are striving to push boundaries with Soul Calibur. They also mention aiming to make the Dreamcast version 10 times better overall, indicating a significant improvement over previous versions. The page also features screenshots of Soul Calibur gameplay on the Dreamcast. The next page is a special report on Shenmue from the Tokyo Game Show '99, held between March 19th and 21st. The article is titled, "Seen It, Touched It, Game Show Detailed Report," indicating it's a first-hand impression of the game at the event. The report mentions that the game was shown at the Tokyo Game Show, and there were some media outlets that didn't quite understand it. However, user feedback was positive, with messages appearing on the Shenmue BBS. Yu Suzuki's message is highlighted as being straightforward and easy to understand. The article promotes a character download service called Atsumete Shenmue, Collect Shenmue, where you can collect 16 characters. It explains how to download these characters using the visual memory unit. The process is described in 3 steps. Plug in the VM, select the character to download, and then the data transfer is complete. It mentions that previously this character download service was a hot topic, and now it's finally available at TGS. The article mentions that there were 3 Dreamcast consoles set up for downloads at the show, and there were long lines of people waiting to try it. The service was scheduled to start on May 1st at the Game Forest at Jangle Jungle 2. It notes that it's not just character downloads, but they are also thinking about new features like item exchanges and internet connectivity for Shenmue. Shenmue, Chapter 1, Yokosuka, is set in 1986 in the Japanese port town of Yokosuka. a culturally rich location influenced by its naval history and American presence. The game aims for a hyper-realistic and immersive experience, allowing players to explore this unique blend of cultures. The narrative focuses on grounding players in a real place and culture, emphasizing the Japanese identity before venturing to other locales. The article previews characters for the game's visual memory system, including Ryo, martial artist, Shenfa, stylish, Ren, joker, Chaojin, elegant dancer, and Tom, funky, with a total of 16 characters planned for the game. The visual memory animations are available for these characters, and the game encourages players to collect them. This page is focused on Shenmue as a highly anticipated Dreamcast title, reporting on reactions from the Tokyo Game Show playable demo. The main highlight is a new feature called Skill Transmission, where players can learn new moves from characters within the game world. The page details different aspects of the game showcased at TGS, including Playable Battle 1. Command Style Battle. Described as 50% complete, this battle system emphasizes strategic commands. Guarding against frontal attacks is automatic. Playable Battle 2. PLQTE Battle. This system, at 80% completion, focuses on instant decision-making during battles. Pre-Quest and QTE. This section introduces Chase QTE, combining free exploration and QuickTime events. It is described as 50% complete and involves gathering information and chasing characters like Terry. Magic Weather. This feature showcases dynamic time and weather changes in the game, influencing the environment from sunny days to cloudy skies and evening sunsets. Hand motion and realistic movements. The article emphasizes the detailed CG graphics and realistic animations, particularly in hand movements, aiming for a high level of expression and immersion. The page uses screenshots to illustrate these features, showing gameplay moments with characters, weather effects, and control diagrams. It highlights the skill transmission system as a key element, where players learn new techniques from in-game characters through interaction and observation. The text emphasizes the game's ambition to surpass previous 3D CG levels and deliver a new level of immersion. This page is about the technique transmission system in Shenmue, focusing on how players can learn new moves. It explains the path to mastery, where parameters change as you learn, emphasizing the visual and physical experience rather than just numerical stats. The game uses after-image motion for cinematic techniques when performing moves. It highlights the kind design for beginners, with visual memory displaying command hints for moves, making it easier for new players. The game offers varied reactions based on success or failure during training and branching scenarios that expand the story. Screenshots show training sessions with Tom, providing advice and feedback, with different outcomes depending on player performance, including time limits. The Captain's Log section includes a message from Usani, who mentions the game show feedback and compares Shenmue's scale to Star Wars, while feeling it's closer to Romance of the Three Kingdoms in scope. A news section promotes the Atsumete Shenmue campaign from May 1st to 3rd, where players can experience Shenmue at a Tokyo event and get a special version of the game, noting that it is playable and will feature new scenes since TGS. This page announces the upcoming release of Let's Make a Pro Baseball Team, which is part of a new series called Yakutsuku. The game was featured at the Tokyo Game Show, and the page highlights that there's another Yakutsuku game in development. It mentions that you can nurture and train your professional baseball team in this new title. The game is scheduled for release in late June or summer of 1999. The page includes screenshots of the gameplay and team logos like Dragons, Blue Wave, Fighters, and more. There is also a mention of an interview with director Mr. Sagawa about the game. The text also hints at a brother game being born, implying a related title is also in development. Pro Yaku Team de Asobu, a summer 1999 release from Sega, is an action baseball game that allows players to build and control their own professional baseball team. Positioned as a sibling game to Yakutsuku, it features characters from that series and allows players to utilize teams trained in Yakutsuku. Priced at 5,800 yen, the game supports 1 to 2 players and offers 3D perspective gameplay. The game focuses on intuitive batting, using an analog stick for aiming, and a unique fielding perspective requiring players to consider ball trajectory. While playable solo, the game's main appeal lies in using custom teams from Yakutsuku. Data linking is promoted to facilitate this team integration and enhance gameplay. This page is an interview with Takaya Sagawa, the director of Yakutsuku and Asobu, which is short for Pro Yaku Team Otsukuru, or in English, Let's make a pro baseball team. This interview took place at the Tokyo Game Show venue. Sagawa talks about the Dreamcast version of the game and the concept of creating a baseball team, focusing on the player becoming the owner and president of the team. He mentions that in previous versions, players just chose teams and players, but this time, they want to give more depth by making the player manage the team from the ground up. The game starts with 1 billion yen in funds to build a team. Sagawa discusses the player's freedom to choose players, even famous ones like Sasaki and Rose, but they have to manage their budget wisely. He also mentions that they have improved the player data and processing power compared to the Saturn version, allowing for more detailed simulations and player development, suggesting that password management will be more extensive. The interview hints at a 10-year goal within the game, aiming for Japan's #1 team, but emphasizes that the game is designed to be played indefinitely. The page includes screenshots showing in-game baseball scenes and player interface elements. This page is an interview with developers discussing a new baseball game. The headline is about aiming to be the best in Japan within 10 years. They mention how network play will be a major feature, allowing for large tournaments and national competitions, similar to high school baseball tournaments but even bigger. The interview highlights the game's data management capabilities, allowing for detailed player statistics and growth. They discuss how players can train their teams and develop their potential. The game aims to provide a deep level of player communication and management. The developers mention changes compared to previous titles, focusing on improving the communication with players and making it clearer what players are unsatisfied with. They talk about a mini ballpark mode for quick games and the overall speed and flow of matches. They have incorporated user feedback for improvements, specifically regarding the secretary system. They also discuss a mode where you can bring a team you have trained in Yakutsuku, likely a previous baseball management sim game, and play against others. This aims to enhance the depth and replayability of the game, allowing players to use their custom teams in various game modes. The developers emphasize that this new title and Asobu, another game they are working on, are being developed in parallel with a concept of interactivity. They intend for players who grow their teams in Yakutsuku to be able to use them in this new action baseball game. This page showcases Professional Baseball Team wo Sukuru and Asobu for the Dreamcast. It is advertising a playable demo version that was available at the Tokyo Game Show. The page focuses on the home run derby mode within the game, emphasizing that it's not just about hitting home runs, but scoring points by hitting targets, specifically Yakukyun characters that appear on the field. It highlights features such as Yakukyun, characters eating balls for extra points, and different stadiums affecting gameplay and scoring opportunities. The control scheme is described as simple, using just the R trigger. The page also mentions that there are 12 different stadiums in total, including a Seibu Dome-style stadium, and hints at Yakukyun original stadiums. It talks about the initial member selection and home field choice being similar to previous games, but with an expanded selection of home field candidate cities, implying improvements over previous versions. The next page focuses on Kaotsuku, a character creation mode. It's highlighted as a power-up feature for the Dreamcast version, building upon the well-received version from a previous title. The text emphasizes the increased number of parts and elements available for character creation. The keep function is also showcased as a helpful addition, allowing players to save and easily recall their favorite parts. The page shows various character customization options, including face shape, eyes, hair, mouth, and accessories like glasses, piercings, mitts, and bats. It mentions the ability to change colors of parts too. The page also mentions that the team selection process has changed, with fewer player candidates available, but with more detailed customization options for those players, which suggests a deeper focus on creating unique player characters. This page is a preview of the game Redline Racer. The article highlights the exhilarating racing experience and the game's focus on acrobatics. The release date is confirmed as April 29th, priced at 5,800 yen and published by Imagineer. The preview details the tournament mode, which is central to the game. It mentions that the tournament mode is composed of 9 Grand Prix events. Players progress through these GPs, earning points based on race performance, and aiming to become GP champion to unlock higher-ranked GPs. The page explains the flow of the game, starting with GP selection, then name and team selection, machine selection, and finally the race itself. It emphasizes choosing a machine that suits both the course and the player's racing style. Screenshots showcase various aspects of the game, including machine selection screens, race gameplay, and the race results screen showing rankings and points. The article mentions different GP levels, like normal, hard, and expert, and shows the progression through them, starting with Challenge GP and Stringer GP. A quote from the manufacturer mentions that the game offers a variety of playstyles and encourages players to pay attention to the game's volume, describing the racing action as if rockets are disappearing into the sky. The game is described as Redline Racer and is referred to as RR in short form. This page previews the Dreamcast game Challenge GP, highlighting its dangerous and acrobatic motorcycle racing. The game allows players to race monster machines at speeds of 300 km per hour on courses like Sunday Cove. The course is described as being on a small island in the Indian Ocean, featuring a mix of high-speed sandy beach areas and complex corner sections in a field area. The course also includes rocks that add to the challenge, and mistakes can lead to crashing into the sea. The screenshots show intense racing action, with bikes performing jumps and navigating tricky terrain, emphasizing the game's focus on thrilling and risky gameplay. The page suggests that winning races depends on mastering cornering techniques. This page is about the Dreamcast game My Trackman, a horse racing simulation title. It's presented as a digital horse racing newspaper and details how to use the game for online horse racing news and predictions on the Dreamcast. The page highlights the DC Online Horse Racing Newspaper feature, explaining that it's not just a prediction software, but an information tool utilizing Dreamcast's communication capabilities to deliver the latest horse racing news. It mentions that race entries for all central racetracks, the latter half of races, and latest odds and payouts are available for free for 1 year. Data download time is around 2 minutes. There's an interview section with Mr. Mitsugi from Shui System discussing the potential of the digital horse racing newspaper. He explains the game analyzes race trends and quantifies aspects like how far ahead a horse wins, or how they tend to win, converting analog information into numerical data. 2 indexes are mentioned: IN, which is described as simulation-like, and DS, which is speed plus trainer strength. The page also delves into My Trackman horse betting strategy and prediction race viewing, introducing prediction patterns like Pattern A, leading horse flow, focusing on horses that win by a large margin; Pattern B, AB greater than XY strategy for races where the time difference between first and second place is small; and Pattern C, box purchase, for races with close time differences among the top horses. These strategies suggest ways to use the game's analysis to improve betting outcomes. My Truckman is a horse racing game focused on providing fans with tools to analyze race data and enhance their predictions. Developed by Shueisha System, the software offers features like odds analysis, allowing users to track changes and identify potential winners. It also provides access to a database of historical performance data for trainers and jockeys. Users can personalize predictions by inputting their own insights. The game aims to enrich the horse racing experience by offering data-driven analysis and strategic tools. Future development may include a pay-per-owner game element, adding a new dimension to the gameplay. Screenshots showcase in-game data displays, with potential for online play via Dreamcast. This page is an advertisement for the official strategy guide for the Dreamcast game Arrow Dancing, featuring Blue Impulse. It highlights that the guide is packed with information to help players thoroughly conquer the game. The guide is touted as being for Arrow Tiger enthusiasts and includes sections on system explanations for beginners, complete strategy with developer team cooperation, Blue Impulse mission routes and hidden route guides, sky mission attacks, hidden elements including secret planes and stages, and developer interviews with the supervisor, Takanobu Fujisawa, a former test pilot. The guide is a 5-size, 96 pages, full color, and priced at 1,100 yen plus tax. It is advertised as currently on sale and well received. The page also features screenshots from Arrow Dancing, showcasing various in-game scenes and the Dreamcast logo. This page is a Dreamcast Soft Complete Guide Index, showcasing a selection of games covered in detail within the magazine. The guide includes titles such as Key to E, White Illumination, Super Speed Racing, The House of the Dead 2, Blue Stinger, Sega Rally 2, Arrow Dancing featuring Blue Impulse, Get Bass, Romance of the Three Kingdoms 6th, Nobunaga's Ambition, Shouseiroku with Power-Up Kit, Evolution, The World of Sacred Device, and Marvel vs. Capcom Clash of Superheroes. The page also features character artwork, with a prominent glowing female figure and 2 male characters, one potentially Ryuji, from Shenmue. This page is a strategy guide for the Dreamcast game Key to E, White Illumination, which was never released outside of Japan. It's focused on the summer scenario of the game, highlighting that it's about encounters during summer. The guide explains that it's impossible to meet and date all 8 girls in the game due to scheduling conflicts. Events are fixed on certain days, and the player needs to manage their schedule accordingly. Crucially, there are unmissable events that are critical for progressing in the game, and making wrong choices can cause players to miss these and thus not reach the summer ending. Character affection also plays a role in event triggers and ending outcomes. The page includes a schedule for the first 15 days of the game, detailing events with different girls like Kotori, Ayu, Megumi, Tanya, Hanoka, Kozue, and Yuko, showing date chances and fixed events at locations like Sapporo Sightseeing, Otaru Sightseeing, and Tenin Olympia. It also mentions the summer ending leads to the Tokyo arc. This page is a strategy guide focusing on dating the character Ayu in a visual novel game. It details point scoring for summer dates with Ayu after a group camping trip, emphasizing understanding Ayu's true feelings. The guide highlights key dates, starting with day 2 focusing on a karaoke box date. In the karaoke box date, the guide describes a minigame where you need to sing a slow song in a karaoke box and achieve a high score. The guide gives tips on how to play the karaoke minigame, mentioning rhythm and button presses, and aiming for a mirror ball bonus. It mentions that CBS is important, and you should show Ayu that you are interested in her. Day 3 focuses on a date at Tenin Olympia. The guide suggests going to the surprise house attraction at Tenin Olympia, and going outside to cheer up Ayu if she seems scared. It mentions that on the train ride home, Ayu will ask you out again. This section also describes a minigame called Techno Maze, where you navigate a maze and checkpoints, using the A button to confirm your direction. The page includes a schedule of date events from day 2 to day 9, including locations like a department store, karaoke box, Tenin Olympia, Asuno Family House, TV Tower, and the beach. It also lists minigames and key actions during the dates. This page details date scenarios for a game likely set in Sapporo and Otaru, focusing on relationship building with a female character. It covers dates on the 8th and 9th days after a training camp. The 8th day date takes place in Sapporo City Center, starting at the TV Tower and moving to Odori Park, with the girl's father providing sushi. It advises making phone calls to arrange dates after the 8th. The 9th day features a date in Otaru, beginning with a train ride from Sapporo Station, and suggests visiting ice cream parlors and music box museums in Otaru. The climax of the date happens at Tenguyama Mountain, with scenic views. The page also provides relationship advice, focusing on becoming friends with the girl and offering dialogue options during date scenarios in Sapporo Station and during the train journey to Otaru, with recommended choices indicated by symbols. This page details a walkthrough guide for what appears to be a dating simulation game, focusing on in-game dates on the 10th and 14th. On the 10th, Kobito Dream Beach. You and Aoi go to the beach. Aoi is shy in her bikini, but you should keep looking at her. Later, after buying ice cream, an incident reveals Aoi's past. There is a message from Aoi for August 14th at Tanuki-koji Messe Hall. The guide continues to the 14th, Hunting Alley Messe Hall, where you are scheduled to meet Aoi for an audition. It is mentioned that you can choose to invite Colatone to the audition, but the guide suggests not to, and to talk to Colatone beforehand. If you arrive early at the venue, you can buy flowers. The guide asks if Aoi will pass the audition, and discusses the implications of your choices on the outcome. The check section advises to not invite Colatone and to go alone. It is mentioned that Colatone understands Aoi's feelings, and will accept your decision, showing she is a kind girl. The screenshots show in-game dialogue options and scenes from the game events. This page is a walkthrough guide focused on the character Tanya Lipinski in an adventure game. The guide is structured as a day-by-day walkthrough, from day 4 to day 6, with specific locations and events. On day 4 in the morning, the guide directs players to the Canal Art Museum to catch a flower vase. The afternoon event is at Sunset Park, with a re-encounter at the park where the sunset can be seen. The guide mentions getting a glass pendant as a point of interest, and understanding Tanya's work. Day 5 involves returning to the Canal Art Museum in the morning to help Tanya, who seems to be having trouble. In the evening, at Sunset Park, you can learn about her past. Choosing a different route might lead to an unexpected event. Day 6 involves going to the Canal Art Museum and observing a change in Tanya's demeanor after going to the museum and finding an ingredient list. The walkthrough hints at a secret about Tanya and suggests trying to understand her feelings. The guide uses gameplay screenshots to illustrate the events and emphasizes dialogue choices that might change the outcome and Tanya's reactions. It also features a chart listing events for each day in the Tanya scenario, including locations like the Canal Art Museum, Sunset Park, and Tea Shop Angel. It mentions gift giving, conversations, and ingredient discovery as elements in the gameplay. The next page is a strategy guide focusing on the winter events for the dating sim game, featuring the characters Kanari, Ayu, Tanya, and Hanoka. It checks their winter episode actions. For Haruno Kanari, the winter episode continues from the summer episode set at Otaru Dream Beach. It describes date scenarios where the relationship deepens, becoming a normal couple's experience. Locations mentioned include Hakodate, famous for its morning market, Haristos Orthodox Church, and Goryokaku Fort. Events involve going to Yunokawa Onsen. A date at Mount Hakodate is also highlighted as a memorable location for Kanari's parents. Sapporo and its landmarks like the former Hokkaido government office building and clock tower are also mentioned. For Kawahara Ayu, the scenario involves winter auditions and live performances. Ayu is pursuing a path to becoming an artist. Dates might include driving from the airport to Sapporo while listening to music. Live music venues and music-related locations are suggested as date spots, like live houses in Sapporo, Asahi, and Goryokaku. The narrative also mentions Ayu's growth and how she might feel jealous if the player focuses too much on music during dates. The page suggests that music-related locations are important for Ayu and to support her dreams. A tea break in a cafe called Beetlebaum is also mentioned, where Ayu might reveal plans to go to Tokyo. This page focuses on the character Tanya Lipinski and her date scenarios within a Dreamcast game. The article highlights her smile and how she opens her heart to the player. It mentions locations for dates such as a game center and karaoke, and describes scenarios in Hakodate and Sapporo, including a visit to Cafe Assam. The page also introduces another character, Sakyo Nanoka, and discusses her personality and date scenarios, mentioning a mini-world museum as a location where conversations with her will be interesting. The screenshots show Tanya and Sakyo in various locations and outfits, suggesting different date scenes within the game. It seems to be an in-depth look at the dateable characters and locations in the game. This page is reporting from the Tokyo Game Show 99 TGS, focusing on Hudson's booth, which was themed around their game Kita-e White Illumination. Northward. The booth was designed to evoke the snowy Hokkaido setting of the game. Events at the booth included talk shows with voice actors Hiroi Oji and Nocc Ichi, and mini live performances by Four Seasons who sang the theme song. There were long queues of fans waiting to buy merchandise like phone cards and clear files. Voice actors Chiba Sayeko and Hirohashi Kaho, who are the voice cast judges for the Love Message Contest and Fashion Illustration Contests, comment on the passionate atmosphere of TGS and the close connection with the fans. The page details two contests: the Love Message Contest, where fans write character love letters under 400 characters, and the Fashion Illustration Contest, where fans design outfits for characters. The deadline for entries is April 30th, and original phone cards are prizes. The page also showcases some fan submissions to the contests, including illustrations of characters Haruno and Kotori, highlighting the enthusiastic participation of fans. The next page is a guide for superspeed racing, known as Kart Flag to Flag internationally, focusing on car settings. It explains key elements for tuning your car, covering tire compound, aerodynamics, fuel, gear ratio, and suspension. The guide details how each setting impacts performance, like tire compound affecting grip and durability, aerodynamics influencing downforce and top speed, fuel load impacting weight and range, gear ratio for acceleration and top speed, and suspension for handling. The page also features a check section demonstrating how to test and compare default versus custom settings to see the lap time improvements achieved through tuning, especially emphasizing gear ratio adjustments for road and street courses versus oval tracks. This page showcases course guides for rounds 8 and 9 of a racing game. Round 8 is Detroit in Michigan, a 2.36 one-mile street course. The guide describes it as located on the border with Canada, characterized by straight lines and right-angle corners in the first half, transitioning to a more scenic natural environment with concrete walls in the second half. The tight corner 3 is highlighted as a key overtaking point, emphasizing the importance of speed control and precise line taking due to the lack of runoff areas. The text advises an out-and-out line in the first half and focusing on accelerator work in the second half. Round 9 is Portland in Oregon, a 1.967-mile road course. This track is described as located in a city known for its large shopping malls and tourist attractions. It is a high-speed circuit with medium-speed corners, featuring a long home straight ideal for battles and overtakes, along with other overtaking opportunities. The guide mentions that while overtaking is possible in corners by taking the inside line, attempting overtakes from the outside is risky. It also highlights the importance of securing a good grid position, and notes that many corners can be entered at full throttle even if downshifting, advising caution against understeer. This page is a course guide for rounds 10 and 11 of a Dreamcast racing game, featuring the Cleveland and Toronto tracks. For the Cleveland course, located in Ohio and spanning 2.106 miles at a flying field, the guide explains that it's a challenging course despite its seemingly simple layout of right-angle corners and straights. It highlights the difficulty of the first corner after the home straight and corner 6, requiring significant deceleration from high speed. The advice suggests braking early and safely navigating corners 1 and 2 at a reduced speed. It also warns about understeer in corner 3 and emphasizes braking before corner 6. The Toronto course, a 1.721-mile street circuit in Toronto, Canada, is described as narrow with minimal runoff areas, characteristic of a street course. The guide points out the home straight and the end of the back straight as main overtaking opportunities. It mentions that the course width is narrow outside of the straights, requiring careful driving and strategic use of acceleration and braking. For corner 1, it advises taking a deep line. Corner 2 on the back straight is described as slightly curving to the right. Corner 6 is highlighted as the final corner, where it's possible to go inside the curb. This page is a strategy guide for rounds 12 and 13 of a Dreamcast racing game, likely kart, flag to flag. Round 12 covers the Michigan 2-mile oval course, located in Brooklyn, Michigan, which is described as a very fast course where full throttle is generally possible, but corners 12 and 34 require slight deceleration. Round 13 focuses on the Mid-Ohio 2.25-mile road course in Lexington, Ohio. It describes Mid-Ohio as a course known for Bobby Rahal, located in a rural area, being a road course with straights and corners in the first half, and complex medium to low-speed corners in the second half. The guide points out that overtaking is possible at the end of the 3 main straights on the Mid-Ohio course. This page is a game guide focusing on Round 14 and Round 15, which are race courses in a racing game. Round 14 introduces Elkhart Lake Road America, a 4.048-mile course located in Wisconsin. It is described as the longest course, similar to Suzuka, and like an F1 circuit such as Nürburgring or Spa-Francorchamps, emphasizing high-speed racing. The advice for this course is to maintain speed through corners and maximize acceleration out of them. Be mindful of braking in corners, and recognize that overtaking opportunities are limited due to the numerous corners. The track has undulations, so drivers should be aware of potential understeer. Utilize full throttle in lower gears and partial throttle in higher gears. Round 15 features Vancouver Street, a 1.802-mile street circuit in Vancouver, Canada. The course layout was updated from 1998 and is described as an urban track similar to Toronto, but narrower with concrete walls, making it a technical layout. Due to its city setting, there are blind corners requiring careful driving. Overtaking points are scarce due to the home straight end and short straights within the course, and the lack of runoff areas makes aggressive lines risky. Understeer is a factor, especially at corner exits. Straight corners are suitable for the out-and-out racing line technique. Chicanes are areas prone to contact with other cars, so careful line selection is crucial. The strategy here is to prioritize corner exit speed and aim to overtake in straight lines when possible. This page is about the 99 FedEx Championship Series Round 2 Firestone Firehawk 500 kart race event held at Twin Ring Motegi from April 8th to 10th. It highlights the high-speed battles expected with cars reaching 370 km per hour. The event includes practice and qualifying on the 8th and 9th, with the final race on the 10th, or 11th if it rains. The page promotes experiencing the thrill of kart racing and mentions activities like time attack contests and racing events using SSR at the venue. It also talks about photo opportunities with race queens. The featured driver is Hidetoshi Hideki, and the event is sponsored by Bridgestone, KUL, and Million Card. Ticket information is provided for advance and same-day tickets, with different seating options like grandstand seats, and area-designated seats with varying prices. The page also includes a map of the Twin Ring Motegi circuit and access information. There's a present section announcing a giveaway of a pin badge set to one person, with application details via postcard by the end of April. This page is a strategy guide for the arcade mode of the House of the Dead 2 for Dreamcast, specifically for the second chapter called Muddy. It presents a flowchart divided into Route A and Route B, outlining the progression through the stage. The guide highlights key points and enemy encounters along Route A, including enemy types like David, Steve, Johnny, Mickey, Randy, Smallbird, Bob, Kagio, Muller, and Drumcan. It gives tips for defeating specific enemies, such as targeting the heads of David and Steve, and strategies for dealing with Mickey during a fall, and Randy when they are stuck. The guide also mentions branch points based on actions like defeating David in a car or using a key. Screenshots show in-game action of the House of the Dead 2, with zombies attacking in a street environment and a zombie falling from a building. The guide emphasizes making progress through Route A as the priority. This strategy guide for the House of the Dead 2 offers advice on various enemy encounters. Key tips include prioritizing accurate shots, particularly on enemies like David, attack from the right, zombie dogs, mind the trajectory, Mickey, knife use, and John/Max, headshots. Players should be mindful of falling debris and utilize continuous fire on fast-moving enemies like Bob, especially the third one encountered. The guide highlights branching paths, key locations, and specific strategies for boss battles, such as Epitan, which involves attacking while moving and alternating sides. It also provides techniques for dealing with specific enemy behaviors, like the zombie fish and enemies shooting from a distance. The guide ends by transitioning to Bossa. This page is a walkthrough strategy guide for the House of the Dead 2, focusing on Route B in the second chapter. It provides step-by-step instructions from Stage 2 to Stage 32, detailing enemy types and offering advice on how to defeat them effectively. It highlights key enemies like Kagio, Randy, Max, Bob, David, Johnny, Mickey, Steve, Mular, Deathbird, Ebitan, and Cecil, which players will encounter along this route. The guide emphasizes strategic gameplay, such as targeting enemy weak points, quick kills, and being mindful of reloading times, especially with enemies like Randy. Specific advice is given for certain enemy types, like Kageo, who are described as not being too problematic, and later more challenging enemies such as Max, who appears suddenly and requires quick reflexes. It also mentions decision points in the route, like choosing to save a woman or destroy a shelf, which lead to different paths in the game, Route D and Route F respectively. The guide provides visual cues with screenshots of in-game scenarios to help players navigate the route successfully. This page offers a strategy guide for a game, focusing on different routes labeled C, D, E, and F. Each route lists enemy encounters with names like Randy, Kagio, Buyo, Johnny, Max, Ebitan, David, Shigyo, Deadfish, Cecil, Mora, Mickey, and Bob. The guide provides tactical advice for various situations, such as dealing with poor visibility, attacking with good timing, preparing for enemy encounters, aiming for items, and prioritizing bombs. It also highlights the importance of accurate aiming and using special moves effectively. Boss encounters are mentioned, including a boss named Hierophant, which is described as having two types with similar attacks and a weak point in the chest. The strategy points advise players to use continuous attacks on the Hierophant boss and to aim for the center when dealing with deadfish enemies. The guide seems to be providing a walkthrough for specific sections of the game, offering tips on enemy types and combat tactics. This strategy guide for Blue Stinger focuses on the freezer room. Survival hinges on managing the extreme cold. Key tips include prioritizing recovery items and the hot room, which contains the operation room key. The operation room allows temperature control adjustments and holds powerful weapons like the Cold Dragon. Find the electric warmer to become cold resistant. Crucially, the guide emphasizes character switching to conserve health in the harsh environment, particularly during boss battles. The next page is a strategy guide for the freezer room, first half, area, which is part of the Bay Area lab town in what is likely Biohazard Code, Veronica, Resident Evil Code, Veronica. The page presents a map of the area, highlighting key locations numbered 1 to 9, like the hot room, machine room, and operation room. It details that you need to acquire keys to progress through the rooms in order within this area. The page focuses on the boss encounter at location 6, which is a freezing dragon. It explains that this boss is encountered after unlocking the door with the machine room key, and it prefers close-range combat. The guide lists the dragon's attacks and their damage values. Mouth attack, 9 damage, tail attack, 5 damage, and freezing breath, 4 damage. It recommends maintaining distance and using powerful firearms like the napalm launcher to defeat it effectively, particularly when the dragon is engulfed in flames, allowing for continuous damage. Defeating this boss grants the control room key. The guide also lists items available in vending machines within the freezer room area, including hot dogs, hamburgers, hash browns, and magazines for handguns, shotguns, and bowguns, as well as special magazines for stronger weapons like the dog's bazooka, Elliot's bazooka, and napalm launcher. It also mentions a map download and a save point in the area. This page provides a walkthrough guide focusing on the control room and freezer room areas within a game, which appears to be Dino Crisis. Section 7 explains how to adjust the temperature in the control room by accessing the temperature management system. If you have the invert key, you can activate the rapid heating system. This involves entering a 4-digit code, and depending on the code, the room temperature will change, affecting gameplay options like extreme cold mode and low rotation mode. Sections 8 and 9 detail how to unfreeze doors by manipulating the control room temperature, and emphasizes that item replenishment and save opportunities are available in this area. Finally, the bottom section maps out the latter part of the freezer room, indicating that enemy types change depending on the temperature conditions. Specifically, human dinocytes and the meat room key appear under normal temperatures, whereas fish dinocytes and cow dinocytes appear during warmer temperatures. The map also shows an exit, leading to the city area mid-area. This Deep Fear strategy guide outlines 2 paths in the underwater maze, determined by the freezer room actions. Section 10A details the flooded maze, focusing on oxygen management, air pockets, ladders, and human dinocytes. Section 10B covers the icy maze, also with human dinocytes, but no special considerations. The guide stresses underwater oxygen management and ladder use after either maze. Section 11A describes the bull dinocyte boss fight, advising attacks from behind, using cover, and listing attack details to gain the meat room key. Section 11B details finding the key on an ice block in the icy maze. Section 12 then covers the meat room, navigating hanging meat masses, destroying specific ones with attacks, punches are effective, and climbing to the exit and a save point. The next page introduces the Sega Rally 2 Network Club Volume 2, and it is recruiting members. The game Sega Rally 2 was released on January 28th, priced at 5,800 yen, and is a racing game supporting online multiplayer, versus play, racing controllers, and VGA boxes. The Network Club section is asking for player feedback and opinions on network play in Sega Rally 2. They are seeking suggestions regarding network battles, server questions, and general manners, and are also asking for opinions and feelings on network etiquette and potential tournament announcements. There is a section detailing a team called MRD, Megan Racing Development, who are recruiting members who love Megan cars. The team's activities include gatherings on the BBS MRD website and in Dreamcast Net Arena Server 15 every Saturday at 11 p.m., focusing on socializing and providing advice. To join, you need to apply via the Sega Rally BBS, and conditions include loving Megan A, enjoying laughter, and not being lonely. The page also highlights a Tokyo Game Show event where Sega Rally 2 network battles were showcased, connecting booths at the show with Tokyo Joynopolis using Dreamcast's online capabilities. The event aimed to demonstrate the excitement and fun of online multiplayer with Sega Rally 2, even for players unfamiliar with online gaming. It also mentions a PC version of Sega Rally 2 was playable at the PC booth. This Dreamcast Racing Game Tuning Guide provides settings for 2 cars, the Toyota Celica GT4 and the Lancia Delta HF Integrale. The Celica's tuning focuses on improving steering responsiveness and reducing understeer through adjustments to suspension and steering, +2. Further front suspension adjustments, +1, are recommended to fine-tune grip. Recommended settings: 6 MT, 0 gear ratio, +2 front suspension, +1 rear suspension, +2 steering, 0 brake. The Lancia Delta HF Integrale, known for its quick steering, benefits from stiffening the suspension to improve high-speed stability. The guide suggests +4 for both front and rear suspension. Recommended settings: 6 MT, +1 gear ratio, +4 front suspension, +4 rear suspension, 0 steering, 0 brake. Both guides include car specifications and emphasize adjusting settings to improve responsiveness and handling. The next page provides a guide on car settings for the Dreamcast racing game. It features two cars, the Subaru Impreza 555 and the Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution IV. For the Subaru Impreza 555, the guide focuses on addressing its oversteer tendency by adjusting the suspension settings. It recommends setting the front suspension to +2 and the rear suspension to 1, while also increasing the steering response to +3. For the Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution IV, known for its strong understeer, the guide suggests settings to mitigate this and improve steering response. It recommends setting the front suspension to +3, the rear suspension to 2, and steering to +2. Both sections include machine spec boxes detailing car statistics, such as engine type, horsepower, and torque, and setting example tables with specific numerical adjustments for transmission, gear ratio, suspension, steering, and brake, along with commentary explaining the reasoning behind these settings. The page also includes screenshots from the game showcasing these cars in action. This page features strategy guide information for two rally racing games. The top section is dedicated to the Toyota Celica GT4 ST185, providing setup advice to enhance its responsiveness. It mentions that the standard car is stable, but has dull steering and understeer, typical of 4WD vehicles. The suggested settings aim to mitigate understeer and improve steering response. The setup recommendations are 6MT transmission, gear ratio +1, front suspension +3, harder, rear suspension +1, softer than front, steering +2, quicker, and brake 0, normal. The comments explain the reasoning behind these settings, emphasizing oversteer tendency and responsiveness improvement. The machine spec box details vehicle statistics, including length, width, wheelbase, weight, engine, inline 4 turbo, drive 4WD, max power, and max torque. The bottom section focuses on the Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution 2i. It discusses how to maximize the potential of the car, suggesting it surpasses even the Evo IV in certain aspects. The text indicates that the Evo 2i has strong understeer and less sharp steering compared to the Evo V, and the setup aims to address these issues. The recommended settings are 6MT transmission, gear ratio +1, front suspension +4, harder, rear suspension 0, normal, steering +2, quicker, and brake 0, normal. The comments section explains the choice of 6-speed transmission for 4WD traction, stiffening the front suspension, and adjusting steering for better response. The machine spec box presents similar vehicle specifications for the Lancer Evo 2i. Both sections include setting point advice highlighting the importance of steering response improvement. This page is a guide for the Dreamcast game Aero Dancing F, featuring Blue Impulse, focusing on Blue Impulse Mission Step 1620. The page details two specific flight maneuvers: line abreast roll, Step 16, and diamond takeoff and dirty turn, Step 17. For line abreast roll, the guide instructs players on performing a barrel roll with 3 aircraft in formation, emphasizing maintaining formation and timing the roll at 90, 180, 270, and 360-degree intervals for points. The guide provides visual cues with screenshots depicting the correct positioning and timing for each stage of the maneuver. For diamond takeoff and dirty turn, the guide focuses on a diamond formation takeoff, followed by a 270-degree turn. It stresses the importance of timing to maintain formation during takeoff and the turn, providing instructions for brake release, speed management at 140 knots, and executing the turn at 200 feet altitude with a 70-degree bank. Screenshots illustrate the different stages of the takeoff and turn, highlighting the importance of synchronized timing within the formation to avoid collisions. The page also features an advertisement for the ASC2 Mission Stick VGA, a Dreamcast controller released on April 22, priced at 7,800 yen, promoting it as ideal for flight simulations like Aero Dancing F. It describes the controller's features for enhancing gameplay, including its ergonomic design, analog stick, and button configuration options. This page is a guide for advanced flight maneuvers in what appears to be an aerial combat game on Dreamcast. It details 3 techniques: 3-ship invert, rainfall, and delta loop, broken down into step-by-step instructions with gameplay screenshots. 3-ship invert, Step 18, focuses on performing a double 180-degree roll with 3 planes in formation, emphasizing keeping a straight line. Rainfall, Step 19, instructs on a loop maneuver, highlighting maintaining formation during ascent and focusing on direction and altitude after the loop's peak. Delta Loop, Step 20, is presented as the final training maneuver, a formation loop requiring minimal left-right stick input. The page also mentions that clearing Step 17 unlocks the F-86F Sabre, suggesting a mission-based structure and unlockable aircraft within the game. The text at the bottom celebrates the F-86F as a famous aircraft from the 60s and 70s, highlighting its historical significance in connection to the Blue Impulse aerobatic team, mentioning its use in drawing the Olympic rings at the Tokyo Olympics. It describes the F-86F as a charming aircraft despite its age, suggesting it's a desirable unlockable for players interested in aviation history within the game. This page is a guide for the Sky Mission Attack mode, specifically Mission 6 titled Monument, from the game's Sonic Wings Assault. It outlines the strategy for completing the mission and achieving a challenge score of 17,000 points. The page details 6 checker targets, which provide specific instructions on how to navigate the mission, including using afterburners, following announcements, and taking double targets in tunnels. A route map is shown with numbered checkpoints and a landmark. The RF-4E aircraft is highlighted as the acquired aircraft for this mission. Screenshots from the game accompany the text to visually illustrate the gameplay and target locations. This page is a strategy guide for Mission 7, Cloudy, from the Dreamcast game Ace Combat. The guide details the route to take and key points to clear the mission, which has a challenge score of 10,000 points. It highlights 6 check target points on a map and provides specific instructions for each. For example, check target 1 advises starting at full throttle and using afterburner, approaching from the left, and reducing throttle to 60% to easily obtain the target and prepare for the subsequent double point targets. The guide also mentions that the obtainable aircraft in this mission is the F-15J. Each check target point has a screenshot demonstrating the player's view in the game and text providing tactical advice. The guide emphasizes maintaining speed and altitude control to successfully navigate the mission and acquire all checkpoints. This page focuses on providing basic fishing knowledge for Sega bass fishing. It poses 2 key questions and answers regarding bass fishing. The first question is, I can't find any bass, and the answer reveals that bass prefer places with obstacles. It then goes on to detail various fishing spots categorized by area, such as lodge near a pier, cape with standing trees, inlet near a water gate, bridge under a bridge, reed in a reed field, and cave in a cave. Each location is visually presented with an image and a brief description suggesting where bass might be found, for example, near obstacles or in deeper waters. The second question asks, what changes with time? And the answer explains that morning and evening are the times when bass are looking for food. Areas feeding. It details how bass's feeding habits change throughout the day, dividing it into morning 6:0010:00, noon 10:0014:00, and evening 14:0018:00, suggesting different fishing strategies for each time period, like targeting shallow waters in the morning and evening when bass are actively feeding. The next page is a strategy guide for bass fishing on Dreamcast, focusing on how weather and water temperature impact gameplay. It explains that bass depth changes with weather conditions, advising players to fish in deep areas on sunny days, mid-depth on cloudy days, and near the surface during rainy weather. The guide also details how water temperature affects bass activity, stating that bass are most active between 1,823 degrees Celsius, less active in colder temperatures, and seek shade when it's too hot. It emphasizes targeting deep areas to catch larger bass, and highlights that knowledge and experience are key to successful fishing in the game, encouraging players to become champions. This page is a guide explaining different types of fishing lures for a game on Dreamcast. It answers the question, what lure is good when you don't know what lure is good? By advising players to choose a lure suited to the situation. The guide details 6 main lure types: crankbait, topwater, plug, spinnerbait, soft lure, and jig, which are further broken down into more specific lure types, including shallow crank, deep crank, floating minnow, vibration, and pencil bait. For each lure, the page explains its action and key points for effective use when fishing in the game. It also gives tips on selecting lure colors based on weather conditions within the game. This guide details fishing lures for the Dreamcast fishing controller game. The spinnerbait is an all-depth, easy-to-use lure. The straight worm, a soft lure, is dragged along the bottom. The popper is a topwater lure, creating popping sounds in shallow areas, especially during specific times. The rubber jig is a bottom lure, lifted and dropped, ideal for areas with reeds. The suspend minnow, a plug lure, suspends in the water, mimicking baitfish. The grub, a soft lure, flutters its tail to attract bass in medium to deep depths. The buzzbait, a surface lure, creates bubbles and sound, similar to the popper. Lastly, the paddle tail is used for bottom fishing when bass are schooling but unresponsive to other lures. The next page is an advertisement for the off-road racing game Buggy Heat for the Sega Dreamcast, priced at 5,800 yen. The advert highlights the wild driving experience and realistic off-road action, with features like real-time driving motion. It emphasizes the thrill and exhilaration of racing through various terrains. The page also details a release commemoration campaign, where 200 people can win original aerodancing and Buggy Heat goods through a lottery. Prizes include jackets, caps, and QUO cards featuring logos from both games. It mentions that the application method is to answer the questionnaire postcard included in the game package. The closing date for applications for aerodancing is May 15, 1999, with the date for Buggy Heat to be determined. The ad also notes that there may be delays in delivery for Buggy Heat due to tune-up, and apologizes for any inconvenience, and asks customers to wait a little longer for release. Finally, the page lists voice actors, including Mayumi Iizuka as Shape Up Girls, and Koichi Nagano as Be Cool General Gentaro. This page is an advertisement for the game Aerodancing, featuring Blue Impulse, a flight simulation game for the Dreamcast. It's described as the world's first acrobat flight simulator. The game focuses on the Blue Impulse, which is the 11th Squadron of the 4th Air Wing of the Japanese Air Self-Defense Force. You can master aerobatic flight and aim to be the squadron leader. The game boasts a 360-degree view and lets you freely fly over cities, seas, mountains, and the sky. All the aircraft in the game are based on real planes, including the familiar T-4 Blue Impulse, with over 10 different types of aircraft available. The game emphasizes realism, supervised by former Air Self-Defense Force pilot Nobuhiko Fujiwara, aiming to recreate the feel of jet engine thrust and controls, down to flaps, rudders, and afterburners. It supports 1 to 4 players and is compatible with visual memory and modems, with rumble pack support and VGA output. The price is listed as 5,800 yen, excluding tax, and it's currently available in stores. The advertisement also mentions recruitment for development staff, seeking game planners, 3D CG designers, image and sound staff, and digital processing programmers. It highlights that the workplace is Shibuya and offers good welfare benefits. The voice actors listed for the game include Mayumi Iizuka, Koji Yusa, and others. This page is an advertisement announcing the launch of a new internet web TV service for the Dreamcast. It emphasizes how different and superior this new service is, stating that everything is different. The method, the service itself, the simplicity, the sound, the video, the fun, the excitement, the emotion, and the overall experience. The text repeatedly stresses the idea of difference, highlighting that it is completely different and thoroughly different from what users may have experienced before. This page is an advert for web TV on Dreamcast, advertising internet access through your television. It highlights features like easy internet browsing, email, and access to game information and original content. You can get a free web TV connection kit by sending in a postcard application. The service costs 2,000 yen per month for 15 hours of use, with additional usage incurring extra charges. This page is an advertisement for the Dreamcast game King of Fighters, Dream Match 1999, which is highlighted as the first in the Dreamcast cast series, featuring a large roster of SNK characters, including Kyo Kusanagi and Iori Yagami. It's described as an all-star battle. The game was scheduled for release in June, with the price yet to be determined. It also promotes the Neo Geo Pocket Color game King of Fighters R2, mentioning it could connect to the Dreamcast title to exchange data and unlock special features and information. Screenshots from both games are shown with chibi artwork of a King of Fighters character, promoting the Neo Geo Pocket title. This Reader Submission Corner, themed Spring has come features a wide array of Dreamcast-related content. Readers submit questions about game prices, seek advice on financial struggles after buying a Dreamcast, and even confess to being late for dates due to their gaming habits. The magazine also teases an anime section. Other submissions highlight the Dreamcast's features. One section focuses on audio quality, mentioning a girl enjoying linear PCM sound and a subwoofer. Another section celebrates Namco's arrival on the Dreamcast platform, recommending games like Soul Calibur. Additional submissions included reader introductions and an illustration by Kazuhana Shiroyaiba. Finally, there are introductory blurbs for recurring characters in the corner. This page showcases fan art submissions under the Illust Garden section, where the current theme is Soul Calibur. Many readers have sent in Chao character drawings. There are various Chao submissions from different prefectures like Oita, Fukuoka, Iwate, and Hyogo, each with a unique style and character designs. Some are humorous, some are cute, some are monster-like. One is called Busaiku Chao, and another features Onitaro. There's also a drawing of a man labeled Matsumoto Honke. The page also features a special on Psychic Force 2012, highlighting Wendy as a popular character. Screenshots depict Wendy and Emilio from Psychic Force 2012, and the text mentions that the key to mastering the game is skillful use of basic techniques and superpowers. The article suggests Wendy is very popular, followed by Keith, Patty, and Emilio. This page presents a collection of reader submissions, including articles, artwork, and opinions. The page begins with an advertisement for the Fishing Controller Legend 2, highlighting its design and compatibility with specific game genres. The Girls Talk Corner showcases reader discussions, such as enjoying JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Sakura's graduation message, and a Gull comic strip about a racing game are also included. The bottom section features artwork and comments from readers across different prefectures. Psychic Force 2012 characters are a recurring theme, with mentions of character design, art style, and battle strategies. Other submissions feature artwork from games like Shenmue and possible fighting or visual novel titles. Each artwork is accompanied by reader comments, ranging from appreciation of character designs to humorous observations. This page is a reader submission section featuring various opinions and requests. A reader expresses their dream for a race-and-about style open-world racing game on Dreamcast, praising the destruction and freedom, referencing games like Landers and Berserk. Another reader enjoyed Berserk and Devil-Lock on Dreamcast, and specifically the racing element in Berserk, also mentioning Evo. Another submission discusses Ojamajo Pretty, finding it cute and wondering if characters beyond Gradriel will be playable, potentially referencing a fighting game like Princess Crown. A reader is excited about Soul Calibur, mentioning hidden techniques and House of the Dead and Might in the Dreamcast version. Knights is praised, humorously called Tsuchinoko. A reader mentions Chaos and the character Chao, referencing a special number and finding it delicious. Sonic Blue is also mentioned, likely referring to Sonic Adventure, with the person described as a craftsman. With You and Cosmo Core are mentioned, with a welcoming message to join the Kawaii Cosmo Core. Other reader comments include appreciation for penmanship, finding something amazing, and mentioning pop music, and a casual style. Another reader from Hiroshima praises a photographic Sonic, possibly Sonic Adventure, and finds it amazing, mentioning Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney. A reader from Hyogo wonders about a popular Wone character appearing in a comic strip. There are also mentions of Ojamajo Pretty and its kawaii feeling, and mentions of Go and Moonlight Blade, and again Moonlight Blade, along with SoftBank. B1, a mail-order game shop, advertises Dreamcast games like Get Bass and Marvel vs. Capcom, highlighting their availability and prices. They also list Dreamcast peripherals and out-of-stock titles. The page features a new game schedule with upcoming titles for Dreamcast, PlayStation, and Sega Saturn. The Dreamcast lineup includes Web Mystery, The Prophecy Gazing Cat, Redline Racer, and King of Fighters 1999, among others. PlayStation titles include Silent Hill, Monster Farm 2, and Final Fantasy V 2 Eyes. Sega Saturn titles listed are Ryoko's Chat Room and Eternal Melody Ensemble 2. Additionally, the ad promotes the Eternal Melody soundtrack CD. Other Sega Saturn games like Sengoku Blade are also advertised. Console prices for various systems are listed, along with a promotional offer for FOG product buyers. This page discusses the concept of originality in video game dialogue, especially in the context of adult-themed games. It argues that truly compelling game words should be more than just pre-designed phrases, but rather evoke the messiness, nuances, and even noise of real-life experiences. The article uses the popular image of the Fujiwara Norika type of woman as a reference point for otaku desires, suggesting that games often cater to these idealized preferences. It explains that while game developers carefully craft words, the most impactful experiences come from dialogue that feels less artificial and more like real, complex communication. The piece is written by Nimura Hitoshi, an AV actor and director, who authored the book Everything is for Getting Popular. This page features articles and columns discussing various aspects of otaku culture and media. One article titled, Gamera 3 Was Not Satisfying, discusses the movie Gamera 3, exploring why it might have been a disappointment compared to older Gamera films and the perceived decline of B-movie monster genres. Another section titled, The Lineage of Japanese B-Movies That Disappeared, seems related to this discussion. There is also a column called Galacta Top Battle. The page also covers the topic of used games in Akihabara, with articles titled, Used Software Problem, One Direction is Indicated, and, Soon, Officially Recognized Used Shop is Here, discussing Enix's stance on used game sales and the legal battles surrounding used games. A comic strip illustrates a used game transaction. Additionally, there's a manga or book advertisement for Flower Bear San Labor 2. Finally, there are columns named Akihabara Game Anzoroji and Game Shop, Backside of Backside. This page is a comic strip titled Something Yoshimatsu Theater, with the theme Win Against Your Rival. The comic depicts a conversation between two characters, where one, labeled 32, expresses concern that Dreamcast games might lose out to the upcoming PlayStation 2. Character 32 recounts a training montage involving Akira Princess and Commercial Hell, claiming to have mastered techniques like sprite rotation and scaling, which he says are Mega CD-era tricks. He declares he is training to overcome Super Me, and to be able to perform rotation and zooming to compete. The other character finds his story moving but expresses feeling even more lost and confused by the whole situation, highlighting the humor and slightly absurd nature of the console rivalry. The comic is a lighthearted take on the upcoming console competition, referencing older Sega hardware and gaming techniques in a humorous way, rather than promoting any specific game title. This page is an advertisement for Tokyo, Nagoya, and Osaka Game Designer Academy, detailing various courses available like Game Creator, Game Artist, CG Creator, 3D Graphic and Motion Capture Creator, Game Planning and Scenario Writer, Game Review and Magazine Writer, Sound Creator, Game Design and Internet Game Homepage Creator. The advert includes phone numbers and addresses for each location and mentions April 1999 enrollment with open campus days. This page is an anime preview section called Anime Check It, focusing on the theatrical release of Tenchi Muyo, In Love Two Distant Memories. It describes the movie as the final installment in the theatrical series, emphasizing a more emotional and romantic tone compared to previous entries. The preview details the plot, mentioning Tenchi's disappearance and his new life as an art student. It introduces new characters like Haruna, a mysterious woman who is with Tenchi, and details the roles of returning characters like Ryoko, Ayeka, Sasami, Mihoshi, and Kiyone in Searching for Tenchi. Character descriptions and voice actor names are provided for each. The topics section promotes the video release of Cosmic Pirate Mito's Great Adventure, which aired on TV Tokyo, with a video release date of April 25th. It also mentions broadcast plans on TV Osaka and TV Aichi. There is a special promotional video being offered as a gift for people to apply for, called Pirate Video Dayon, and 5 people will be selected by lottery to receive it. Finally, there's an announcement for a public commemoration event on April 10th at Shinjuku Toei Palace. This all-night event will screen the latest works, including 5 TV series episodes and theatrical version, Episode 1. Guests such as director Hiroshi Negishi and voice actors Ayako Shiraishi and Yumiko Takada are scheduled to appear. Advance tickets are sold out, but standing tickets will be available on the day for 3,500 yen, and entry is prohibited for those under 18. The next page presents a selection of anime programs being advertised for home video release and broadcast. It features titles like Trigun Stage 9, Cowboy Bebop 4th Session, and Sorceress Stabber Orphan Volume 3, all available on VHS and Laserdisc. Other anime advertised include Generator Gall S4, Iketeru 2 Nin Volume 1, Timeslip Detective Genshikun Volume 6, Nightwalker, Midnight Detective V, and the OVA Omoharu Bishujo Gatai Robo Genie 2 Volume 2, which is also on DVD. Additionally, the OVA Go Forth, Space Battleship Yamamoto Yoko I and 2 is highlighted as a DVD release. Lastly, Touch Miss Lonely Yesterday is advertised as a Laserdisc release. The right side of the page promotes SKY Perfect TV and DirecTV anime channels, mentioning anime like Uchi no Tama Shirimasenka and AD Police as currently airing or upcoming programs. Old D Police is described as a new work in the Bubblegum Crisis universe, set in Neo Tokyo 2039. This page is a manga column by Izumi Takemoto, called Takemoto Izumi's Various Things. In this edition, Takemoto discusses her love for atogaki, which are afterwords or postscripts in books. She mentions how much she enjoys writing and reading them, even to the point of wanting to add afterwords to books that already have them. She recalls living in a place with 5 bookstores within a 5-minute walk, and how she used to frequent bookstores daily, accumulating receipts. Now she can't do that, as there are no bookstores nearby. She talks about a recent comic she is working on in ASC2, and also mentions an anecdote about wanting to suddenly play Tomb Raider 2. The column is illustrated in a manga style, with cartoon versions of herself and a cat character. She humorously notes that she buys games but doesn't always get around to playing them, referencing Tomb Raider 2 as one she owns but hasn't played yet. Fumio Kurokawa's column discusses the Tokyo Game Show, highlighting the pressure on software makers and the public's anticipation for PlayStation 2 news, which was absent. The show showcased over 450 new titles and drew a record attendance of 163,448. Kurokawa was impressed by Sega's booth, particularly Bust-A-Move 2 and Shenmue. He viewed Namco's Soul Calibur as a strong port and noted Konami's popular rhythm games. The column also provides a profile of Kurokawa, detailing his background in music, film, and game advertising, including his work on Virtua Fighter. Finally, it features a discussion about a Konishiki commercial film and invites reader feedback. This page is an advertisement for Koji Hayama's album titled 99 Super Expensive Legend Best and Super Remix, which was released on April 23, 1999. The advert highlights Koji Hayama as a musician known for his super expensive games CD from 6 years prior. The album is described as a best-of and remix compilation, featuring new recordings and remixes of his past work. The track list includes titles such as Men's Ballad, Charisma, Aniki 01, Kingdom Empire, and Muscle Bomber. It also mentions live versions of songs and new recordings, emphasizing the modern sound and technology used in the album. The advert encourages readers to buy and listen to the CD, suggesting it will transform the listener from an ordinary person to a transformer. It also provides a website URL for more information and a postal address for inquiries related to Koji Hayama's Game World Special Ring. Omi in Wonderland is a personal column by Omi Minami, reflecting on the passage of time and recent events, including the Kita-e, White Illumination with You, game event in Sapporo. She describes finding a related strange game, an Omikuji Fortune, offering a reader giveaway, an Omikuji with a message and a keychain. The column also features a humorous perspective of her daily life through her dog, Pudding. Omi, a Tokyo native born on July 13th, is known for her voice acting roles in anime like Martian Successor Nadesico and Kita-e. The column concludes with a call for reader mail, encouraging support, stories, and questions. This page is a Dreamcast Magazine questionnaire for readers to fill out and send back. It's asking for demographic information like gender, age, occupation, and what magazines they read. The survey also wants to know about reader preferences for articles in the magazine and event attendance related to games. There are sections asking about Dreamcast and Sega Saturn hardware owned and planned purchases. Lists of Dreamcast and Sega Saturn hardware and software are provided as reference for the survey questions. This page is dedicated to the WonderSwan handheld console, proclaiming itself as the WonderSwan Specialty Information Magazine debut, and promising to cover everything you need to know about the system. It highlights a release date of April 16th with a price of 590 yen for something, presumably the magazine itself, or perhaps a game guide. The page is packed with title information, listing a large number of games. Notable titles mentioned include Chocobo's Dungeon for WonderSwan, Train Go, and Puyo Puyo Tsu. There's also Nobunaga's Ambition for WonderSwan and Romance of the Three Kingdoms for WonderSwan, showing strategy games were present. Fighting games are represented by New Japan Pro Wrestling Toukan Retsuden, and digital pet fans had Digital Monster Verge WonderSwan. The page also mentions SD Gundam Emotional Jam, Super Robot Wars Compact, and Klonoa Moonlight Museum, which is the WonderSwan version of the popular platformer. Other titles like Space Invaders, Tekken Card Challenge, and Puzzle Bobble indicate a range of genres were available for the system, from arcade classics to card games and puzzle games. Anime tie-ins are also present with Neon Genesis Evangelion, Angelic Renovation, and Detective Conan games listed. This page is an advertisement for the Sonic Adventure Navigation Guidebook. It's promoting the book as essential to fully enjoy the newly released Sonic Adventure game, which they describe as a super spectacle high-speed role-playing action. The book is already on sale and is priced at 1,300 yen. It is a 5-size, 160 pages long, and full color. As a bonus, it includes a special Chaos Secret album booklet. The guide promises to cover everything from the basic game systems and character actions to stage strategies, character introductions, and boss battle tips. It will also guide players on how to skillfully raise Chao. This page is an advertisement for Shining Force 2i products. It announces the upcoming release of the Shining Force 2i Official Setting Material Collection World Guidance Book, which is a 4-size, 240 pages, and priced at 2,800 yen. The book covers scenarios 1 to 3 and includes character profiles, setting materials, game artwork, and interviews. It also promotes a Shining Force 2 iCard collection by SoftBank, describing it as a must-have collection item. The card collection features character cards, movie cards, illustration cards, and special cards, with over 120 types in total. Packs are priced at 380 yen each, with 10 cards per pack and 15 packs per box. This game preview focuses on Sengokushi VI's short scenarios, emphasizing fast-paced gameplay and strategic resource management. These scenarios offer unique victory conditions, making shorter play sessions enjoyable. Key tips for success include prioritizing achievable victory conditions, forming strategic alliances to save time, and avoiding hasty battles. The Battle of Red Cliff scenario is highlighted, suggesting players choose Sun Quan. Victory requires controlling Jiangling and defeating Cao Cao. Gameplay advice for this scenario includes defensive positioning, resource gathering in Jiangling, allying with Liu Bei, and focusing on naval warfare. Forming alliances, like the one offered by Sun Quan, is key to achieving victory, and the preview provides screenshots of these gameplay elements. This page is a strategy guide for the Dreamcast game Romance of the Three Kingdoms 6, Awakening of the Dragon. It provides tips for playing through different scenarios. The guide breaks down 3 scenarios. The first scenario in February 184, the Liu Biyu subjugation battle in October 196, and the unification of Hebei in January 197. For each scenario, it details the winning conditions and offers gameplay advice on how to succeed, focusing on efficient resource management and strategic battles. The guide highlights key characters like Liu Bei and Cao Cao, and mentions utilizing powerful generals like Zhang Fei and Guan Yu. The page provides turn-by-turn strategies for players to follow to achieve victory in these historical scenarios. This page is a guide for Nobunaga's Ambition, Lord of Darkness with Power-Up Kit, a historical simulation game for Dreamcast released on March 25th for 9,800 yen. The guide explains how domestic affairs are visualized and more engaging in this version, with military units managing development like rice paddies and castle towns. It introduces Oda Nobunaga and Date Masamune as advisors for domestic policy, emphasizing strengthening the country's political base. The page gives advice on assigning suitable officers to tasks, leveling up towns and paddies by repeated development to increase income, and utilizing even seemingly useless daughters for trade with merchants. It also recommends building branch castles to expand territory, boost income, and create strategic defense points during war, where branch castles can become defensive positions. Date Masamune is highlighted as a key figure, known as the One-Eyed Dragon, described as skilled and trusted by his retainers, with details on his appearance and personality fitting his reputation. This strategy guide for Kabuki Monogatari, Hana no Keiji Kumo no Kanata ni, offers 5 key battle tips. First, Organize troops based on warlord aptitude. Prioritize troop types the warlord excels in, and ensure sufficient unit numbers. Second, exploit enemy weaknesses by flanking or attacking from the rear in field battles, and avoid showing your back or having disorganized units. Third, always include supply units, especially in sieges, as they are crucial for prolonged battles. Fourth, employ siege tactics like starving out the enemy, as sieges can weaken even fortified castles. Finally, in field battles, concentrate attacks on the enemy commander, especially with ranged units, to quickly break the enemy's morale. The guide is illustrated with screenshots and features Maeda Keiji, the game's flamboyant protagonist. The next page focuses on the game Evolution, the World of Sacred Device. This is a strategy guide for the game, particularly focusing on boss encounters. It details strategies for two bosses, Mandragoras and Monographtus, in locations called Blind Ruins and Decent Ruins. For Mandragoras, its weaknesses are fire and ice, and the strategy involves using Mog as the main attacker, while others focus on defense. For Monographtus, its weaknesses are fire and thunder, and the strategy involves lowering its attack power and keeping party members spread out to avoid area attacks. The guide also mentions that after clearing the 5th dungeon, all dungeons become explorable, and stronger versions of bosses will appear. It mentions status ailments are ineffective against these bosses, and the guide aims to help players defeat these tougher foes. The page shows screenshots of battles with these bosses, emphasizing key strategies and character positions. It also indicates that after updating save data, an S mark will appear, suggesting some post-game content or achievement is unlocked. Finally, it mentions that party members can be freely changed except for Mag. This page delves into boss strategies for elemental gimmick gear. It focuses on 3 bosses from different ruins. First, in the Shades ruins, the boss Shade Niscus has no weaknesses but resists ice and lightning. The guide advises to boost your defense and use direct attacks, as it uses ice and wind attacks. Be wary of its special move Ice Beam, which deals area damage. Next, in the Heaven ruins, the boss Refresian is weak to fire and resists ice. This boss has varied attacks, including HP recovery and status ailments, making it a long fight. Exploit its fire weakness and prepare for status ailments, especially paralysis from its special move, Sibire Flower Powder. Bringing support characters is recommended. Finally, in the Sheol ruins, the boss Panem Aohitori is weak to bug attacks and resists fire. As a large bug-type monster, using Mag's sprayer parts is effective. It uses wide-range attacks, and the party should align to counter with Shockwave. Beware of Rin Powder, a dangerous confusion attack that can be cured with items. This page reveals valuable information about rare items in a Dreamcast RPG. It details 3 key tips for players. Firstly, repaying your debt to Mag of 200,000 dinars will reward you with luxurious items from Nina et Société, such as the powerful Attack Booster plus 72 and the Debt Brooch. Secondly, during free play mode, the items possessed by bosses become incredibly rare and valuable. One example is the Ancestor's Pendant, which is composed of rare materials like various Naoran golds, Mokan Pu, Harp, and Angle. Another great item mentioned is the Ancestor's Brooch, which reduces elemental damage, and Faith Touch, which enhances FP recovery. The boss Rafflesia is mentioned as a source of these rare items. Thirdly, the page explains how to collect monster body parts and process them at Société to obtain valuable items. A detailed list is provided, outlining the monster parts, their locations, processing costs, the resulting items, and their effects. For example, processing the Paleocarinoides foot from the monster in Shees will cost 1,500 and create a wake-up clock that prevents sleep, while processing Hydra's scale from a monster in Brained will cost 900 to create a Hydra hat, which increases defense by 36 and prevents freezing and sleep. The next page is a manga comic strip titled Evolution Chapter 3 God's World. It features characters from the game Evolution, the World of Sacred Device. The comic shows scenes with Linear and Mag, the main characters of Evolution. It seems to be a humorous take on the game's events, with exaggerated expressions and situations. Linear is presented as a cute character, and there are jokes about needing to fight monsters and collect money within the game world. The characters are interacting and discussing game-related scenarios in a comical manner. This page focuses on Marvel vs. Capcom, Clash of Superheroes for the Dreamcast, showcasing Onslaught as the final formidable boss. It describes Onslaught as the greatest enemy players will face, emphasizing his overwhelming power and screen-filling attacks. The article mentions his incredible strength and that he is a difficult challenge to overcome. Screenshots illustrate the game in action, highlighting Onslaught's appearance and gameplay. The game was released on March 25th and retailed for 5,800 yen, supporting 1 to 4 players and rumble features. The next page delves into aerial rave techniques for the game Marvel vs. Capcom, released internationally as Marvel vs. Capcom Clash of Superheroes Aerial. It explains the basic flow of aerial raves, starting with an aerial rave start technique to launch opponents into the air, followed by a super jump, chain combo, double jump, aerial finishing technique, and finally, a ground pursuit attack. The page provides character-specific aerial rave start techniques for various fighters, including Ryu, down strong punch, Morrigan, down strong punch, Chun-Li, strong kick, Jin, medium punch, Zangief, down medium punch, Captain Commando, strong kick, Rockman, strong kick, Strider Hiryu, down strong punch, Spider-Man, medium punch or strong punch, down kick, Wolverine, strong kick, Gambit, down strong punch, Hulk, down strong punch, Venom, medium punch, War Machine, strong kick, Captain America, down strong punch. It also includes points for each character's technique, offering advice on when and how to use them effectively. The page stresses the importance of mastering chain combos in the air after launching the opponent and explains the advantages of super jumping for aerial combat in this game. This page is focused on Chao and the events surrounding them at the Tokyo Game Show. Held from March 20th to 21 Stone, the article details a special event at the Sega booth where attendees could download a Jewel Chao for their VMU. The article explains that Jewel refers to gemstones and that the downloaded Chao is emerald green in color, hence called Emerald Chao. It shows screenshots of the Emerald Chao and describes it as a rare type. Also featured is the VMU minigame Osanpo Adventure, where you can take your cow for a stroll. There's a photo of a person referred to as Nakai-san Papa, who is described as a kind person who gave out Emerald Chao plushes at the event. The page emphasizes how easy it was to download the Chao, and how enjoyable the whole experience was for Chao fans. The final picture shows a Chao plush next to a Dreamcast console, highlighting the fun that everyone had at the event. This page is about a special project for the game Chao Chao Chao, and reveals the secret of Emekao. It's an interview with the Chao team, designer Sachiko Kawamura, programmer Yoshihisa Hashimoto, and planner Tsukuro Maekawa. They discuss Emekao, a rare Chao being given away as a first present. Emekao is emerald green because of its connection to the Chaos Emeralds, and its children will also be emerald greened. They mention they are considering allowing players to download rare Chao in the future as a fan service. The page also mentions a Tai Chao and love matching event where Chao breeders gathered at TGS, Tokyo Game Show. The next page is part of the Sunrise Hero Chronicle and Sunrise Robot of CG World Series, focusing on the anime Taiyu no Kiba Daguramu, or Fang of the Sun Dugram. It highlights the Dugram combat armor as the first model developed by the anti-Federation forces on the planet Deloyer. The page features CAA images of the Dugram mecha in action, and a character named Krin Kashim, described as a 17-year-old pilot. Krin is stated to be the son of Donin Kashim, a council chairman within the Earth Federation. Krin learns about the war's true nature and participates in the Deloyer Independence War. The article explains that Dugram is a new type of combat armor that appeared in the TV anime Fang of the Sun, Dugram, broadcast from October 1981 to March 1983. The developers are described as people from Earth who are colonial planet guiding Sumerians. The Dugram was developed by the People's Liberation Army as the only combat armor that could lower the gas planet cloud influence, and it was used to fight against the Earth Federation. The data section provides details about the Dugram, including its official TV anime title Fang of the Sun Dugram, its name Dugram, overall height of 9.63 meters, weight of 20.2 tons, weapons like a linear rifle, linear cannon, and 20mm chain gun. The pilot is Krin Kashim, and notes indicate it can equip a hanger glider for aerial movement. This page is about the Dreamcast fishing controller, the sixth installment in the Dreamcast Peripherals story series. The article is titled, Dreamfish Fishing Up, and explores the development of the fishing controller. It details how the concept originated from portable fishing games, dating back to around July 1998, inspired by American portable fishing games. The article mentions the research involved in understanding the systems of these portable games, with Sega aiming to bridge the gap between game and reality by creating a peripheral that simulates the feeling of fishing. The Dreamcast fishing controller, model HKT8701, is described with its dimensions and weight. The article emphasizes the controller's ability to recreate various fishing actions, like reeling, lure casting, and the sensation of a fish biting, even capturing the feeling of fighting a big fish. The page also includes images of various fishing controllers and a handheld fishing game device to illustrate the evolution of the fishing game concept. The article mentions that in 1997, portable fishing games were becoming popular, and Sega wanted to create a hit product in this genre for the Dreamcast. This page is about the Dreamcast fishing controller and its development history, going back to the Saturn era. It explains that the concept of a fishing controller was considered for the Saturn, but it wasn't until the Dreamcast that it became a reality. The article details the collaboration between Sega and ASC2, noting that the basic mechanics of the Dreamcast controller are the same as ASC2's version. The article shows images of the prototype Saturn fishing controller, the ASC2 Dreamcast fishing controller, and the final Sega Dreamcast fishing controller, highlighting the design changes and the goal to make it feel more like a real fishing rod. The aim was to move beyond simple game controllers and create something that felt more like a genuine fishing tool to enhance the realism and enjoyment of fishing games on the Dreamcast. This page showcases the Dreamcast fishing controller, focusing on the enhanced motor features designed to realistically replicate the movements of fish. The article highlights the improvements made to the controller, including a more sensitive analog input and vibration feedback that simulates the pulling and movements of fish in the game. It mentions the controller uses two motors of different sizes to create varied vibration patterns, enhancing the fishing experience. The page also details the development process, mentioning the team's dedication and research, even going fishing themselves to refine the controller's realism. The design evolved from early mock-ups to the final product, with consideration given to the shape, grip, and button placement for optimal gameplay. The inclusion of an accelerometer is also discussed, allowing for rod movements to be directly translated into in-game actions, going beyond simple button presses for lure action. The interview features KUNIHISANAKAO from the Development Production Department 2, who talks about the challenges and goals in creating the fishing controller. He mentions the development code name Bunny for the controller. The article concludes by mentioning the upcoming release of the Dreamcast Controller Volume 2 in the magazine on April 22nd. This page is focused on Dead or Alive 2 and delves into the evolution of the series. It features an interview with Team Ninja's Itagaki, discussing the improvements made from the original Dead or Alive to Dead or Alive 2, specifically regarding Kasumi's character model. The interview highlights the challenges in representing female characters in early polygon graphics and how Dead or Alive 2 on the NAOMI arcade hardware overcomes these limitations using texture and lighting effects to enhance the skin quality. Itagaki mentions that in the original Dead or Alive, the red costume was Kasumi's main color and underwent around 50 changes during development, with daily adjustments being made. The page showcases screenshots of various versions of Dead or Alive across different platforms, including the original Dead or Alive Model 2 arcade version, Dead or Alive Sega Saturn version, Dead or Alive PlayStation version, and Dead or Alive TPS baseboard arcade version, which is described as a power-up version with VRAM memory doubled for improved graphics and sound. Finally, the page teases the upcoming Dead or Alive 2 for 1999, emphasizing the leap in graphical fidelity on the NAOMI arcade hardware and the Dreamcast, with enhanced stages, character models, and costume detail, even noting that the cherry blossom petals are now rendered in 3D. Team Ninja's Tomonobu Itagaki discusses the development of Dead or Alive. The Saturn version, utilizing motion data from a previous project, prioritized strategic gameplay alongside its 3D breast physics. Graphical advancements and a one-skin model marked the PlayStation version's evolution from the arcade original. A DOA roadmap illustrates development progress. The arcade version used 1,700 polygons and took 1 year, 1 month to develop. The Saturn used 550 polygons and took 11 months. The PlayStation version, with an improved quality despite potentially less polygons, took 7 months, while its enhanced iteration took 5 months. DOA 2 is currently in development, promising more polygons than the PS version. Itagaki aimed for the best possible graphics within hardware limits. Ida's Diary describes scenario data rewriting using NAOMI hardware for real-time movie generation, leveraging the power of NAOMI. The developers are seeking user feedback, soliciting opinions on DOA, feature requests for DOA 2, including system improvements and new characters, and fan art submissions for a picture book of Dobie to influence the franchise's future. This page introduces the D2 Shock Warp Cup Snowmobile Time Attack event. It serves as a guide to mastering the basic controls of the snowmobile game, focusing on the concept of weight shifting. The article explains that while acceleration and braking are straightforward, understanding weight shifting is key to effective gameplay. It describes how weight distribution on the front and rear of the snowmobile influences handling, particularly during cornering. Screenshots illustrate different techniques like full throttle cornering and front load cornering, showing the controller inputs and in-game effects. The page details how to participate in the Time Attack event, mentioning that you need the Win Regret limited edition first pressing, which includes D2. To enter, players need to use the trial version of the snowmobile mode, available in either beginner or standard mode. They must complete a course within the time limit, navigating pylons without falling. Upon completion, a time will be displayed, which needs to be submitted to a specific website for entry into the Time Attack. The event period is from March 12th to April 30th, with a target time of 2 minutes. The professional mode is also mentioned as a featured game mode for snowmobiles. This page is focused on a Dreamcast Snowmobile Time Attack tournament, specifically Volume 3 D2. The page explains the unique steering mechanics of the snowmobile game, emphasizing that it's more about hitting angles rather than simply cutting turns, suggesting a nuanced control system involving weight shifting. It details how bodyweight movement is crucial for maneuvering, especially for sharp turns and boosting acceleration. The article also highlights the fantastic prizes for the tournament winners, with first place being a real Yamaha VX500S XR snowmobile, second place being travel vouchers to Canada, and third place, a snowboard. The top 30 participants also receive DC-related goods and Yamaha original merchandise. We also see a current ranking announcement for the tournament, showing a list of player names and their times, indicating a competitive scene for this snowmobile game. The page mentions the D2 Shock Experience Edition being a limited first-run edition of the DC version of Real Sound. Win Regret, suggesting a special edition related to the game's sound. Finally, at the bottom, there is an advert for the Real Sound Wind Regret CD, encouraging readers to buy it to experience the game's audio. This page is a Puyo Puyon Paradise special feature, celebrating the release of Puyo Puyo 4, and is filled with fan content. It mentions a beauty contest for Puyo Puyo characters, currently led by Scherzo, with Arley possibly making a comeback. There's a section showcasing fan art submissions from various regions of Japan, including Tokyo, Fukuoka, Kanagawa, and Oita. The page also announces a call for fan postcards for Puyo Puyon, encouraging illustrations and text-based submissions, with special prizes offered for outstanding entries. A comic strip titled Listen to My Song is featured, starring Arley and Carbuncle. Finally, it reports on the Tokyo Game Show 99 Spring, highlighting the Compile booth's success with high visitor numbers and events related to Puyo Puyo, including announcements for Puyo Puyon and Puyo Tetris DX, and mentions their presence at toy shows. This page is a deep dive into the design process for the character Shenzo Wiggy in Puyo Puyon, a puzzle game released on the Dreamcast. It's part of a series looking at character settings from the game's development. We see various sketches of Shenzo, detailing his clothing, hairstyles, and even his accessories. The notes explain that Shenzo, being a dark magic user, is designed with silver accents instead of gold. There's also a focus on his sword, with specific details about its shape and how it's used in combat and as a magic conduit. Action poses are also sketched out, showing how Shenzo fights, emphasizing his sword techniques are primarily support for his magic. The page also includes a Chico's Diary section, a weekly update, this time titled New Family? This diary entry, written from Chico's perspective, recounts an encounter with a small bird, sparking thoughts about family and her dragon companion. The next character to be featured in these design notes will be Chico. This page announces the end of the Seaman exhibition, which ran from March 20th to 21st. It features an interview with William Sutherland, described as a marine civilization researcher and director of the Ancient Creature Research Laboratory, who is the owner of the Seaman exhibition. Sutherland discusses the exhibition in Tokyo Game Show and its reception, mentioning its success, but also the feeling of being overwhelmed by the project's scale. He talks about the positive reception from Japanese people, even those who found the seaman concept creepy, and touches upon the philosophical aspects of the creature. The article also mentions a DC game, Seaman Forbidden Pet, which is scheduled for release on June 24th, with 2 versions available: a microphone device version for 6,800 yen, and a microphone and visual memory version for 7,800 yen. There are images of exhibition items, including a seaman specimen in a jar, and what is described as a seaman fossil. Another image shows a relief carving, said to depict mythology from the 3rd dynasty of ancient Egypt. The page also briefly touches on the global impact of seamen, with news from VNN News reporting worldwide reactions. It includes an image of Jean-Paul Gaze, described as a researcher of seamen, with a caption stating, "This valuable image of his seaman research is being released for the first time in Japan." This page is about the Seaman game and the event showcasing it. It highlights an interview with William Sutherland, described as the director of the French Institute of Marine Archaeology and the organizer of the Seaman exhibition. The article discusses the concept of digital culture and Sutherland's views on it, linking it to the game Seaman. The article mentions that Seaman represents a new type of pop culture and explores the idea that digital culture can record and preserve things, just like ancient civilizations did with pyramids and hieroglyphs, using language and symbols to push the boundaries of human thought. Sutherland sees Seaman as a living medium, embodying this concept. There are screenshots of the game interface and gameplay, along with pictures of Alan Kay and the Cray 1 supercomputer, and HAL 9000 from 2001 A Space Odyssey movie, implying a connection between technological advancements and the game's themes. The page also briefly mentions the public excitement surrounding Seaman at the event, referring to it as Seamania, indicating a significant buzz and popularity. There is also a section about internet reaction and Seamaniacs online, with a URL for a website related to Seaman Mania. The article concludes by mentioning that Seaman is expected to be further discussed in the next issue, suggesting ongoing coverage and interest in the game. This page is all about Seaman Mania. It's a feature called Seamania Time from Dreamcast Magazine, focusing on the bizarre and unique Dreamcast game, Seaman. The page highlights a Seaman declaration and mentions that Seaman became a sudden hit after the Tokyo Game Show. It talks about Seaman's rude mouth and the reader's imagination being put to the test. The page features a section called Dory Maga Cup, Seaman and Unpleasant Friends, which seems to be a reader submission section where people have sent in 4-panel manga strips using Seaman and other characters. The example manga panels are humorous, involving conversations between seamen and other strange creatures. There is also a Miss Seaman contest section, featuring a reader submission of a photo of a girl who wants to be made into a seaman, along with her boyfriend. It seems to be a contest for readers to be featured as a Miss Seaman character in the magazine. The bottom section also mentions that in Volume 11, they were also recruiting for Seaman manga reader submissions. It encourages readers to send in their thoughts and opinions to Dreamcast Magazine in Kyoto. This page is a special feature about how Sega commercials are made, specifically focusing on the Blue Stinger commercial. It shows a behind-the-scenes look at the filming process, starting at 2:50 p.m. at a location called Mooney's Area 1 with a dinosaur prop on set. By 3:15 p.m., it's time for the Blue Stinger Blow Them Away edition filming, with schoolgirl actresses getting their makeup done. At 4:05 p.m., monster actors dressed as aliens and dogs arrive. Action scenes are being filmed around 4:45 p.m., with actors shouting and performing. As dusk approaches at 6:50 p.m., they are setting up lighting and smoke effects. Finally, at 7 p.m., the shooting begins with explosions for the action scenes. The bottom section highlights Sega commercials viewable from April 2nd, showcasing the Blue Stinger commercial and others that can be seen during Dreamcast Hour. It mentions commercials for House of the Dead 2, Get Bass, Fishing in Town, and a treasure campaign commercial featuring a family finding treasure. This page is about creating Dreamcast homepages, emphasizing design considerations for viewing on a Dreamcast console. It highlights the importance of font sizes, explaining how text may appear differently on a PC screen compared to a Dreamcast. It suggests always closing font tags to avoid display issues on Dreamcast. The page details how to preview your homepage on the Dreamcast itself by using the R trigger to bring up the menu and then selecting the zoom option with the X button, noting that this is a good way to check layout and text wrapping. There's an example of a Dreamcast homepage linked to GeoCities and also a section showcasing user-submitted homepages under the title Recommended HP. This section features usernames like Tola, Maki, Okamoto-kun, Segabit, and Momiji, along with their website addresses and brief descriptions of their pages, such as a page about Okinawa and marine leisure, a page made by a mother about her children, and pages related to Sega software from the Mark II-I era and fishing games. The page also includes an application section with an email address for submissions and important notes regarding the submission requirements. This page is about the Dreamcast game Rent a Hero Returns, and seems to be from an unofficial fan page within the magazine. It highlights that a video of the game was shown at the Tokyo Game Show and SoftBank booth. There are comments from readers who saw the video, expressing excitement and interest in the game. One comment mentions being drawn in by the game's charm and wanting to play it. Another comment mentions being impressed by the game's improvements and wanting to see the MD version introduced at the next Dreamcast Experience event. There are illustrations from fans of the game included on the page. The page also announces a Rent a Hero Returns video screening at Tokyo Game Show SoftBank booth and mentions that the opening scene video was about 10 minutes long. The content includes name entry, opening scenes with the grandfather, and gameplay footage. There is also a section about ranking of port requests, where Rent a Hero is consistently at the top. The page also lists members and encourages readers to submit postcards with fan comments. This page showcases new comics from SB Comics for March. It features 4 titles. Dead End is described as an overwhelming speed action comic. Vietnam War is a Vietnam War comic anthology by Motofumi Kobayashi, highlighting the reality beyond the movies with abundant historical materials. Melancholia is described as a suspenseful electrowave comic. Lastly, EPOXYGIN is a gag manga about figures, described as a hilarious slapstick comedy. This page is a contents page from a Sega Saturn magazine issue dated April 16, 1999. It highlights upcoming articles including reader races, a coming soon software section, a complete guide, and features on Darby Stallion, Dungeons & Dragons collection, and a game titled KISS. The page also presents the weekly data station, which includes US voted top 10 most anticipated games and shop sales top 10 chart. The user top 5 are Sonic 3D, Flicky's Island, Waku Waku 7, Street Fighter 03, Real Sound 2, and With You. The shop sales top 3 are KS, Idol Janshi Tsuchipai Secret Album, and Sentimental Graffiti. Finally, there's a Sega Saturn release schedule, listing forthcoming titles like Yoruko no Oshibari Room, Friends Seishun no Kageyaki, Professional Shogi Club, Shogi, With You, Monster Maker, Street Fighter 03, Sonic 3D, Flicky's Island, Real Sound 2, and a number of others across various genres, such as RPG, strategy, and action. It mentions that some games require the 4 MB RAM cartridge. This page is a reader's poll ranking for Sega Saturn games. It's titled Reader's Race and Odds Table Saturn, where readers have voted to evaluate all Saturn games currently on sale. There are 1144 Saturn games in total, currently available for purchase. The ranking is based on reader evaluations using a 10-point system, and these scores are used to generate average scores for each game. The page is dated April 2nd. At the bottom, there's a panel highlighting Shining Force 2i, noting its strong finish in the rankings. Mobile Battleship Nadesico, The Blank of 3 Years for the Sega Saturn, is an adventure game released in 1998. The review highlights the game's dense scenario and story, which bridges the gap between the anime series and its movie. The personality matrix system and full voice acting receive praise. The game features a sound novel-like experience and benefits from improvements in artwork, movies, and story volume compared to previous titles. Developer comments emphasize the original story created by the TV series staff and the player's impact on the protagonist's personality. The review also includes a ranking list of Sega Saturn software, listing various popular titles. This page is a Sega Saturn game ranking chart titled OSS Ranking Saturn C. It lists numerous Sega Saturn games ranked by user average score. The chart includes game titles, genres, and scores, indicating the popularity of these games among players at the time. Many well-known Saturn titles are featured in this ranking. This webpage focuses on Sega Saturn and Dreamcast. It features odds tables ranking popular Saturn games and peripherals, including the Virtua Stick Pro and floppy disk drive. Customer feedback mentions a desire for a Dreamcast version of Wrestleball and frustration at Saturn software prices. A section discusses the Saturn's lifespan and encourages a final look at games. A postcard shared with Dreamcast campaign promotes reader participation, and a contest invites predictions on game rankings. Finally, a giveaway offers a Dreamcast arcade stick and visual memory unit to 5 winners who submit postcards with game scores, comments, and predictions by April 8th. This page is a preview for the Sega Saturn game, Friends, Youthful Radiance. It highlights key features of this love-adventure game, where you navigate relationships and explore the feelings of others through choices. The game centers around reunions and dramas, starting from middle school memories. You'll also face conflicts with male friends within the story. The gameplay involves moving around maps and making choices to understand characters' feelings. Time also progresses in the game world, with 20 minutes passing for each movement you make. The game is priced at 7,200 yen and includes a special disc. It's advertised as 100% complete and is slated for release on April 29th. The page emphasizes the emotional depth and replayability of Friends, Youthful Radiance, due to its diverse characters and scenarios. This page is a preview for the Sega Saturn game, Friends Youthful Shine. It highlights the events of the first 3 days of the game. Day 1 focuses on a reunion at a pension. The story begins here, with a party where characters like Shizuka, Ryusuke, and Natsuko join. Day 2 sees the reunion continuing with free activities and the addition of Makoto. An incident occurs with the arrival of 2 unmanly men in a Porsche. One of these men is revealed to be pursuing Makoto from her middle school days. Day 3 takes place in the summer highlands, where young men and women gather. They play tennis, with Ryusuke being particularly enthusiastic. However, Rui seems unwell. The unmanly men suggest playing in the river, and the girls appear in swimsuits, distracting Ryusuke. As Day 3 ends, Ryusuke is asked to take a liver function test. The page also mentions a promotional telephone card featuring Friends being offered as a present from NEC Interchannel to readers. This page is a preview for the Sega Saturn game Kyoko's Album. It's advertised as coming soon and emphasizes spending intimate time with the character Kyoko. It's a 100% completion game developed by Data Polystar, scheduled for release on April 22nd at 5,800 yen. It's a character disc game for 1 player and is suitable for all ages. The game's theme song is titled, I Want to Meet You, created by Miyuki Miura. The game is described as allowing you to start a new life with Kyoko, a very cute college girl, as your roommate. It's the 3rd game in the series and spans a year, through different seasons. You can talk to her and play quizzes, always being together. There are 4 main menu options to interact with Kyoko. Kyoko's Chat, where you can have conversations by choosing options. Kyoko's Mystery, which features quiz questions about Kyoko based on illustrations. Album of Memories, which is a CG gallery that unlocks images using points earned from quizzes. And What Day Is Today, which links to the Saturn's internal clock, changing messages and content based on the date, spanning from April 1, 1999 to March 31, 2000. The page includes screenshots showing various scenes from the game, highlighting different interactions with Kyoko in different outfits and scenarios, like chatting in the morning or evening, and featuring quizzes and dialogues. This page is a preview of the Sega Saturn game, Ryoko de Hatena, a quiz game where you can learn more about the character Ryoko and earn CG images. The game features a system where you have a limited number of mistakes allowed and time limits for answering questions. Ryoko herself gives advice on different quiz types within the game, including multiple choice, true or false, intro quizzes, reversed playback quizzes, and poetry reading quizzes. You earn points based on correct answers and speed, and accumulate these points to unlock CG images, with super questions offering even more points. 1,000 points will get you a CG image, and super questions are worth 1,000 points each. There's also information about a phone card giveaway related to the game, and a general Sega Saturn Dekiru campaign in spring, mentioning other games by MediaWorks, KID, and Data-Am/Polystar. Specifically mentioned are MediaWorks Device Rain, Kids Kiss Yori, Likely Kiss, and Data Amp Polystar's Ryoko to Oshabari Room, Ryoko and Chat Room. It notes that Device Rain is out of print, and Kiss is also nearing its end, suggesting Ryoko and Chat Room is the main focus now, and that posters for it can be found in stores. This page is a strategy guide page for Derby Stallion on the Sega Saturn, focusing on breeding techniques. It introduces a new feature called Spectacular Breeding for the Saturn version, which is identified by specific comments from the farm manager during the breeding process. The page explains how to achieve spectacular breeding by combining certain bloodlines, giving examples like Cheer Charmer with Hector Protector, or Coffee Rumba with Dancehall. The guide also details the priority of breeding comments from the farm manager, listing Nix as the highest priority, followed by Inbreeding, Spectacular Breeding, and finally, Interesting Breeding as the lowest. It also touches upon the history of the Derby Stallion series, starting from its Famicom origins, emphasizing that strategic breeding has always been key to success. Finally, the page discusses the importance of speed and stamina in Derby Stallion on Saturn, explaining that distance aptitude is directly linked to these attributes in this version. It suggests focusing on speed-type stallions for better results, particularly in shorter races. This page is a strategy guide for a Sega Saturn horse racing and breeding simulation game focusing on bloodline and breeding techniques. It explains the concept of superb breeding combinations and how to achieve them, specifically looking at the effects of breeding combinations on horse stats like speed and stamina. The guide details how to understand bloodlines and pedigree charts to create successful breeding strategies within the game, discussing generational breeding and the impact of inbreeding on performance. It uses tables showing horse names and pedigree information to illustrate examples of breeding combinations and their potential effects. This text provides horse racing game strategies based on race type and age. For 3-year-old Grade 1 races, mile races, breed for early speed using Prince Lear Gift or Habitat bloodlines, and aim for readiness by September. Dirt Grade 1 races require horses with high dirt aptitude, focus on the mother's lineage, and breeds like Brian's Time and Wagner, prioritizing stamina. 4-year-old Grade 1 races need balanced speed and stamina, with speed favored for shorter races. Consider Northern Dancer, Native Dancer Nirko, and Hyperion, Phalaris, Fair Trial bloodlines. The text also discusses breeding methods, noting the strength of stability C horses in the Saturn version. While Nix breeding is a proven strategy, thoughtful breeding and spectacular breeding may offer greater improvement. This strategy guide, likely for a Derby Stallion game, provides detailed race-winning advice. Breeding strategies are crucial. Stamina is key for middle/long distance races, while speed and competitiveness dominate short-distance events. The guide emphasizes the importance of late-blooming horses, recommending training them until age 7 and utilizing hill training for speed increases. Trial races should be prioritized for entry, or skipped if prize money goals are met. A 4-week race rotation is suggested for optimal recovery. Other strategies include a complete control approach to winning GI races, a face color breeding system focusing on lineage for top speed, and the parent-like effect, and nitro breeding to improve abilities through outbreeding. The guide utilizes in-game visuals to illustrate these techniques for players seeking mastery. This Sega Saturn guide provides strategies for Dungeons & Dragons Collection, focusing on Tower of Doom and Shadow over Mystara. It details how to defeat the Black Dragon boss, emphasizing magic usage to counter its paralyzing breath attack, limited to 3 uses, and recommends hammer or jump attacks afterwards. The guide also covers hidden rooms and traps, classifying levels like Cave of the Worm, beginner-friendly, and Wasteland Ruins, traps and recovery, and Ancient Capital Ruins, difficult. Specific tips include defeating beetles by squatting or with line attacks, and triggering an earthquake by eliminating all Grolls and Orcs. Finally, the guide explains how to avoid rockfall traps when opening treasure chests in 2-player mode, by using screen positioning to prevent the screen from scrolling. This page is a strategy guide for a Sega Saturn game, likely Golden Axe, The Duel. It covers a section called Towards the Enemy's Base. The guide details 3 course sections. The Old Well course, where you fight troglodytes throwing oil on flowing water, advising players to fight upstream. Noel's Rush, a common stage with various Noel enemies, and the choice of 3 rooms. It then describes each of the 3 room entrances. The upper entrance, featuring a troll boss similar to the ship troll but with rock attacks and biting attacks, advising to avoid wide swings. The middle entrance, with a fire door leading to treasure rooms where the upper room has money but scorpions, and the next room has rings and items with potential hellhound encounters. And the lower entrance with floor spikes, falling stone pillars, destructible floors, and a small room with a signboard that gives clues about treasure chest switches. This page details strategies for the Sega Saturn game Guardian Heroes, focusing on stages where 3 courses converge into a common stage. It gives advice on navigating these stages and battling various enemies. The page highlights encounters with enemies such as Dark Elves and Zeed, advising players to be cautious of Zeed's fast movement and magic, suggesting dodging his jump attacks by watching his shadow. It then discusses the battle against the Manticore, stating it appears in a wide open area and is similar to earlier Manticore encounters, recommending players avoid taking damage. Moving towards the final stage, the page outlines 2 paths: going around the mountains, described as an easier route, and confronting a dragon. For the dragon battle, specifically the red dragon, it warns of its powerful breath attack, advising players to evade by sliding to the edge of the screen when the dragon inhales, and to attack from the side for safety. It also briefly mentions the Bideholder boss, noting its magic attacks are ineffective when its eye is closed, suggesting melee attacks are effective, and to be mindful of biting attacks. This strategy guide for Dungeons & Dragons. Shadow over Mystara focuses on boss battles. The Manticora battle is broken down into stages, 6A, 6E. Stage 6A recommends quickly defeating the Manticora. Subsequent stages involve navigating traps, enemies like skeletons and dark elves, and collecting treasure. The guide also covers the Lich Deimos fight, emphasizing avoidance of his paralyzing mantle and summoned ghouls. Players should attack continuously, utilizing jumps to avoid the ground tremor, and focusing on attacking Deimos from above or below. As his health drops, Deimos uses stronger magic attacks. Finally, the guide details the illusory Presser Beast battle. Players are advised to target the shadowed body, avoid goblins, and guard against touch attacks. Attack the boss when it is down, using dash attacks for multiple hits, and attempting to acquire Presser Beast skin. Leaving 1 goblin alive is recommended to prevent more spawns. This strategy guide from a Saturn magazine provides tips for the game Dungeons & Dragons: Shadow over Mystara. In the Forest of Lost Souls, players should follow signposts to avoid a black dragon encounter, also noting goblins and owlbears in confined spaces. The Gnome Village is a linear path with tough enemies, culminating in a chimera boss. Oil is recommended. Facing the black dragon, dodge its acid breath and use hammers followed by jump slashes. Raphael's Cave features treasure rooms and a red dragon boss. Avoid the dragon's fire breath and falling rocks. The red dragon battle strategy involves dodging bites by crouching and claw attacks with shields or evasive maneuvers. Finally, the guide mentions a cursed sword in the cave that transforms into a legendary weapon after 50 swings. This Sega Saturn Dungeons & Dragons Collection strategy guide provides walkthroughs and boss strategies for Tower of Doom and Shadow over Mystara. It covers stages like Lava World and Lost World, noting similar structures and emphasizing the importance of the Ice Sword. The Lava World features lava eruptions and enemies like goblins and hellhounds, with advice on dealing with flame-guarded treasure chests and scorpions. The Dwarf's Hidden Passage, accessible only with a dwarf character, leads to the Dark Elf brothers, Terralyn and Terrelleron, where defeating Terrelleron is advantageous. Boss strategies are given for the Flame Salamander, using ice attacks, and Frost Salamander. The guide also discusses the effectiveness of magic swords like the Sword of Fire and Sword of Ice. This page is a strategy guide for the Sega Saturn game Kiss Yori. The guide focuses on effective time management to enjoy romance within the game, emphasizing the need to balance part-time work with dating and communication. It outlines a daily schedule for the protagonist, suggesting how to spend free time in the morning before a 2 p.m. part-time job to interact with girls. The page details 7 rules of communication to improve relationships with girls, advising against actions that could negatively impact the relationship. It also mentions restrictions on activities in the evening, listing locations that become inaccessible at night, and suggests using evening time at home for self-improvement like reading or listening to CDs when not dating. The guide highlights the importance of effectively using time both during the day for dating and in the evening at home to progress in the game and achieve romantic goals. This page from the Saturn magazine Soft Complete Guide offers a strategy for romancing the character Sugita Kieri in a game. It highlights the importance of attending events on specific dates to advance her storyline and emphasizes compatibility settings. Shiri's preferred type is someone bright and cheerful, and she enjoys casual fashion, anime songs, fast food, bright places, and the color green, while her hobbies are music and cooking. A flowchart details a date plan starting on or after July 21st at Restaurant Benny and moving through locations like Marine Road Park, Shirasaki Coast Bridge, and the beach over several in-game days. Real-time conversations and making the right choices are crucial for progressing her route. She likes the Urahara Paradise music CD, the game Bappa Rappa, and the video Dramatic Park 3. The guide mentions that while some event choices may not drastically alter the overall plot, engaging in real-time interactions is key to improving your relationship with Chikeri. For summer dates, it recommends talking about manga and games, suggesting children's magazines such as Koro Koro Comic and Comic Bomb Bomb as topics she'd enjoy discussing. This page is a strategy guide for a Sega Saturn dating sim game focusing on the character Rei Kashiwazaki. The guide highlights that Rei's route is quite challenging, requiring players to strictly follow the outlined flowchart to succeed in dating her. The page details Rei's preferences, mentioning she likes slightly mischievous girls, clothes that suit the occasion, TPO, classical music, French cuisine, lively places, and the color red. She enjoys indoor sports, and her hobby is going out at night. The walkthrough chart lists a series of events to trigger starting from July 21st after finishing a part-time job, involving locations like Dancing Night and Sazanami Coast Bookmart. The guide emphasizes real-time conversations and provides key choices to make during dialogues to progress Rei's route. It warns that small mistakes can lead to failure, and players must pay attention to the chart and instructions. The page also touches upon the later stages of dating Rei during summer vacation, noting that by event 11, Rei becomes more affectionate. It warns against getting a bad ending if affection levels are not high enough by event 10, advising players to engage in real-time conversations and dates to raise the necessary parameters. This is a strategy guide for dating the character Hirose Nanami in a game. She enjoys boyish girls, sporty styles, rock music, seafood, natural settings, the color blue, and marine sports. The guide provides a flowchart starting July 1st, detailing specific events at locations like Sea Island and Shirazaki Bridge, with timed actions like bodyboarding and introducing yourself. The guide emphasizes the importance of Baito choices and using games and CDs for conversation, recommending artists like T-Square and Kiniku Shoujo Tai, and games like Real Type. Dates at sea-related locations are encouraged, except for Sazanami Kaigan Park. Crucially, events 12, 13, and 14 are key but difficult to trigger, with conditions involving nighttime dates, Sazanami Kaigan Marine Park visits, and daytime dates ending before 7 p.m. Event 14 involves Nanami changing clothes, which slightly lowers intimacy but is not negative. The guide also lists specific CDs, games, books, and a restaurant Nanami enjoys. This page is the Teto Journal, issue number 12, and it's a special Sakura feature celebrating the one-year anniversary of Sakura Wars 2. The main article talks about the spring season, graduation, and starting new jobs, linking these themes to the Sakura Wars universe. Featured are various character portraits likely submitted by fans, each with a character name and location. These include Tsukishima Sakuya from Tokyo commenting on cherry blossom viewing, Tae from Tokyo highlighting Sakura's charm in spring, Lucia Nakamura from Hokkaido noting the softness and unique touch of Sakura, Hanasaki Ren from Fukuoka with a flower crown, Yabuki Shin from Tokyo joking about natto beans, Kitazaka Asa from Chiba referencing the great god title and Sakura's grand meaning, Higashi Shiori from Hokkaido pointing out a beautiful necktie, Miyako Asuka from Tokyo expressing the feeling of spring and dynamic Sakura, and Minami Nagisa from Tokyo describing a cute childlike feeling towards Sakura. This page highlights reader submissions and fan content centered around the popular Sakura Wars series. The top section introduces a feature called The Wild Seven People, showcasing fan-submitted illustrations of characters like Reni, Maria, Iris, Orihime, Sumair, Kana, and Linlin, each attributed to a fan from different prefectures. Below, another section titled, Is Dango Already Enough?, presents further reader interactions with speech bubbles featuring Sakura Wars characters Rindao, Kigurumi, Sakura, and Raika. On the right, a worry consultation segment mentions Sakura Wars High School Baseball 2, likely in the context of reader concerns, and advice related to the game. The bottom left explains how to send fan mail for the Sakura Wars Great War feature, inviting illustrations, photos, texts, and videos. Finally, a ranking section reveals the popularity of Sakura Wars characters, with Iris, Sakura, and Orihime topping the charts, and references to both Sakura Wars 2, Thou Shalt Not Die, and the original Sakura Wars. This page is Arcade Express Volume 47, and it introduces the new arcade game, Battle Bakrade, from Aiding, the creators of Battle Garega and Batrider. The headline boasts, 4 planes are rampant, run through the sky of training. The article describes it as a shooting game that is designed to be approachable even for beginners due to its auto-bomber system. This system automatically uses bombs when the player is in danger. It's highlighted that while based on classic shooting game mechanics, Battle Bakrade offers unique gameplay and presentation. The screenshots show classic vertical scrolling shooter gameplay with planes and explosions. The release of Battle Bakrade in arcades is scheduled for mid-April, and it will support 2-player simultaneous play. This page showcases the arcade game Battle Bakrade, emphasizing its appeal as an orthodox shooting game. It highlights the intensity of enemy attacks, stating even beginners can feel the challenge, and the bosses transform and change attack patterns, urging players to burn with fighting spirit. The page introduces 4 playable aircraft. Number 1 is the Sky Dragon, which is described as easy to use even for beginners. Number 2 is the Saber Tiger, equipped with a 50mm cannon and homing side shots, ideal for focused attack. Number 3 is the Lightning Wolf, featuring a 35mm cannon and lightning beam side shot, recommended for players who enjoy flashy attacks. Number 4 is the Hammer Shark, equipped with a 20mm machine gun and adjustable spy chaser side shot, designed for advanced players due to its speed and side shot mechanics. The article also mentions the depth of scoring, suggesting high scores are achievable by collecting bonus items and skillfully evading enemy attacks. It encourages players to enjoy the real thrill as shooters by aiming for high scores. The 2-player simultaneous play is featured, noting that players can cooperate or compete for scores, leading to different gameplay experiences depending on strategy. It's mentioned that both players cannot choose the same aircraft. Finally, a message from Aiding promotes the game, stating that playing reveals its depth and enjoyment. They express gratitude for the support at the AOU Amusement Expo, and are working towards release, aiming for a hot play experience for readers. This page is from Hello, Capcom, and covers Capcom-related news and articles. The page details Capcom merchandise that was available at the Tokyo Game Show 99 Spring event, held from March 20th to 21st. Merchandise included items from Tron Nikobun, Mega Man Legends 2, and Power Stone for the PlayStation and Dreamcast respectively. A variety of new products were available, including postcards, mini towels, and straps. There was a present campaign where 5 people could win a set of Capcom goods. There's also a weekly Power Stone section, Volume 6, featuring an interview with Kawashima Shinya from the development team of Kirin. He discusses the game's action focus and the fun of using items and traps to achieve stylish victories. He highlights elements like stage backgrounds, interactive objects like boxes and barrels, and gun-based action. He praises the game's road screens and emphasizes the depth and thrill of the gameplay. Finally, there is an article in the Shaiki Akimoto's Monster Night Tales series, specifically The Seventh Night, focusing on Desire, Vampire 7. This article delves into vampire mythology in Japan. It references Bram Stoker's Dracula and explores themes of sexual desire and blood drinking associated with vampires. The article analyzes a scene from Dracula, highlighting the sensual and erotic undertones within the description of a vampire encounter and the feelings it evokes. This page introduces the shooting game Giga Wing from Capcom, focusing on the playable machines and their pilots. It highlights the game's core mechanics, like the reflect force that can repel enemy bullets, and the emphasis on achieving high scores. The page details 4 pilots to choose from. Shinosuke Sagara pilots the Raijin Thunderswift machine, which excels in wide-range attacks but is the slowest of the 4. Its subweapon is a wide-range attack type. Porchka pilots the Aisha machine. This machine uses homing missiles as its subweapon and is described as a guided missile type with medium-slow speed. Carmine pilots the Ruby machine. This machine is focused on concentrated firepower in front and is the fastest. Its subweapon is a forward-focused attack. Stuck pilots the Velant machine. Its subweapon is a variable mine that can be deployed in all directions, and its speed is medium fast. The article explains that players should choose their machine based on their preferred playstyle and highlights the unique subweapons each machine possesses. It also mentions that in-game dialogue and story elements will slightly change depending on the chosen character in two-player mode. The next page focuses on Virtua Striker 2, version 99, highlighting it as a realistic football game based on the 1998 international matches. It mentions that team formations and player abilities are based on real-world data. The page includes a section called Binchan's One-Point Advice Volume 3 Formation Edition, which offers tips on how to use curved passes effectively in the game. It explains how to perform curved passes using the control stick and pass button and suggests using them for crossing from outside the center area. The page then showcases team information for Romania and Scotland, detailing their characteristics and recommended formations. For Romania, it notes their good positioning and dribbling skills, recommending an offensive 343 formation and a defensive 352 DV. It highlights player number 10 as a key player who can create opportunities and score goals, suggesting players utilize short passes and dribbling through him in attacks. For Scotland, it mentions their strong defense but less potent attack. It recommends an offensive 442 DV formation and a defensive 352 DV. It suggests focusing on stable defense and utilizing long ball attacks, especially when the midfield is weak, and to use side attacks to create opportunities. This Virtua Striker 2 guide offers team strategies for 4 national teams: USA, South Africa, Mexico, and Yugoslavia. The USA excels in height and positioning, using short passes and crosses. South Africa leverages speed, particularly through players 6 and 11, needing midfield support. Mexico is highly offensive, with speedy forwards and midfield control by player 8. Yugoslavia is balanced and strong, relying on player 10 to link up with skilled teammates, emphasizing midfield space creation and direct passes, with player 11 as a key defender and free kick strategies. Each team's strengths are detailed to guide offensive and defensive play. This page is a Road of Crazy Guide, Volume 1, for Crazy Taxi in Dreamcast Magazine, presented by the Sega AMR&D Department No. 3 team, the developers of the game. It's part of their official corner in the magazine. The page features the crazy taxi drivers Axel, BD Joe, Gina, and Gus as today's navigators, who provide tips and techniques for the game. The guide focuses on essential techniques like crazy drift, crazy jump, and crazy through, and emphasizes the importance of pleasing customers to earn tips. It also mentions the combo system and avoiding crashes with other cars. The page uses screenshots to illustrate gameplay and highlights that Crazy Taxi is a single-player driving game running on the Naomi arcade board, copyrighted by Sega in 1999. This page is an official corner from Sega AMR&D Department No. 3 focusing on Crazy Taxi. It seems to be a guide or tips section for the game featuring characters Axel, Joe, Gina, and Gus, who are likely the taxi drivers. They discuss gameplay mechanics and strategies. Axel talks about stopping the taxi quickly by hitting buildings and signboards, and Jarena mentions drifting for stylish stops. Gus talks about the importance of knowing the city and using the directional button and start button to check the destination. The page also covers the Crazy Dash technique, explaining how to activate it using the gear shift and timing it correctly after picking up a customer. Axel mentions that if you forget the destination, you can always check it using the start button and view the destination graphic. Joe is impressed by these techniques and is learning from Janena and Axel. This guide focuses on the factory stage, Episode 3, Area 4, of Zombie Revenge, a section within the arcade game Dynamite Deca 2 Inches, Die Hard Arcade, Dynamite Cop. The guide is tailored for the NAOMI arcade board, supports 1 to 2 players, and offers tips for surviving the zombie-infested factory. It emphasizes weapon usage, specifically the landmine, powerful explosion, gasoline, creates fire, and stun gun, electrocutes and disarms. The strategy involves prioritizing enemies, particularly shotgun-wielding zombies, and using the appropriate weapons to deal with threats. The guide advises players to defeat the initial hat-wearing zombies. Screenshots illustrate weapon usage and the importance of wooden boxes containing weapons for the final boss fight. This page is a game strategy guide focusing on boss battles. It features gameplay tips for defeating enemies in a zombie-themed game. The guide details strategies for using landmines, flamethrowers, and charged shots. There are sections on defeating a boss named UDS-02, highlighting its massive size, automatic weapon creation system, and attack patterns such as spawning smaller enemies, spitting fire, and poison. The guide offers countermeasures for each attack, including maintaining distance and using dash attacks. The guide mentions a character named ZED with a golden eye. The page also includes a section hinting at the next stage being a train level, named Neo Mi Train, where the battle continues. This page introduces the girl group Z1, highlighting their formation from beauty contests and their concept as a team unit. They are presented as the next generation of idols, poised to be active in various genres. The page mentions their debut age as 13 and their developing talents in movies, singing, and dancing. The Check It section promotes their regular appearances on the Fuji TV show Kaisengeki TV Utemon, which features anime for both young and older generations. It also mentions member Ueto Aya's starring role in the movie Killer Keep of Paradise, scheduled for release in the spring. The page also details a Z1 Present section, offering readers a chance to win items the group members are holding in the photo. To enter, readers need to send a postcard with personal details and questions to Dreamcast Magazine at SoftBank Publishing. Dreamcast Magazine features 4 young women, each with unique interests. Mai Fujiya loves Dreamcast games and seeks recommendations for short play sessions, enjoying game centers and air hockey. Aya Ueto enjoys crafting accessories, long phone calls, and sporty fashion, admiring DA Pump. Manami Nishiwaki is passionate about hip-hop dance, drawing, and natural Harajuku-inspired fashion, aspiring to be a dancer or singer. Mami Najiki is an ice cream enthusiast, favoring specific brands and flavors. She prefers girly styles, especially when visiting amusement parks, and hopes to become a singer like Kaiko from Globe. This page is an advertisement for the second special edition of GM Magazine, which is on sale for 690 yen. The advertisement expresses thanks to readers and announces that GM Magazine will continue publication. The page includes positive feedback from readers, who described the magazine as interesting and well-written. Readers praised specific content like Mental Landscape Essay and GM Girl, and the GM Recommend column. Some readers are looking forward to more new game information and a slightly less niche focus, and one reader mentioned Dreamcast Cast, suggesting the magazine covers Dreamcast content. This weekly Dreamcastrology provides horoscopes for April 2nd-8th, offering financial, health, love, and work advice, along with luck boosters, tailored to each zodiac sign. Aries should manage finances, prioritize health, and carry a wine-colored wallet. Taurus faces fortune dips, needs green accessories and sun exposure. Gemini should plan ahead, embrace enthusiasm, and use light pink items. Cancer's finances stay stable, avoid overeating, and use shiny items. Leo's finances are steady, use yellowish green, and get sleep. Virgo needs to watch belongings, communicate, and seek white pandas. Libra should avoid gambling, use pale colors, and not overthink. Scorpio needs dull yellow items and fluffy items. Sagittarius may get financial help, convey feelings, and believe in jinxes. Capricorn should expect financial increases, find gold, and value kinship. Aquarius has stable finances, watch the lower body, and utilize fire. Pisces will receive money, must not be arrogant, and a brown cup will help. The lucky person of the week is Aries Mr. Seo Yano, who benefits from individual work while also expanding their network. This page details reader presents from Dreamcast Magazine. 20 readers can win their choice of Dreamcast game software, showcased with a screenshot of Record of Lodos War, Deedlit Saga. 3 readers can win a digital monster set from Bandai, featuring Digimon merchandise like posters, t-shirts, and digital pet models. Another 3 readers can win a Battle Bockraid set, which includes a calendar poster and logo pen from Aiding. Finally, 3 readers can win a Cyber Troopers Virtual On Oratorio Tangram keychain figure set from Sega, featuring 5 figures. The page also promotes the next issue, Volume 14, announcing articles about upcoming Dreamcast titles such as Mercurius Pretty, End of the Century, Web Mystery, Yoshi Yume wo Miru Neko, Sunrise Ayuden, Redline Racer, Shenmue, Soul Calibur, Revive, Saze, likely 7th, Revival in English, Pro Yaku Team wo Tsukuru, likely Dreamcast Pro Baseball Team wo Tsukuru, Climax Landers, Seibutsu Kiki Expendable, likely biological weapon expendable, which is Gun Griffin 2 internationally. EGG, likely evolution, Eternal Dungeons, Carrier. It also mentions Dreamcast strategy guide information for The House of the Dead 2, Blue Stinger, Kita E, White Illumination, North to White Illumination, and Sega Saturn titles Perfect Follow and Derby Stallion Bikicks. Finally, it mentions Tokimeki Memorial Drama Series Volume 3, Tabidachi no Uta. This page is an advertisement for the Dreamcast horse racing simulation game called Digital Horse Racing Newspaper My Trackman. It highlights the game's realism, mentioning that it features actual racehorses in weekly updated conditions. The advert shows the release date as April 8, 1999, and features logos of several Japanese horse racing newspapers and magazines, indicating a collaboration or endorsement. There's also a competition for 30 people to win an invitation to a horse race viewing and ranch tour, requiring participants to send in an enclosed questionnaire by May 31st. This page is an advertisement for the Dreamcast game Frame Gride, a title by From Software and published by Namco. It promotes the game as an unprecedented battle drama, where parts, materials, and reflet forces link attributes to create unique combat situations. The screenshots display mech-style combat in diverse environments and in-game menu interfaces. The game was scheduled for release in the summer and was exclusive to Japan.